Good evening. I'd like to call the January 8th meeting of the Casa Grande Planning and Zoning Commission to order. If you would, please rise and join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Erica, let the record show we're all here. And changes to the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to make a recommendation that item G4 be moved to the top of the agenda under new business to be heard first.
Okay, commissioners?
Chairman,
right.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
To move G4 to the first new business item.
Second.
Very good. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Very good. Commissioners, we have minutes from the last meeting.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the December 4th, 2025 meeting.
Very good. Very good. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Our annual elections, however you all would like to handle this, please somebody, what are your desires, commissioners?
Chair, I'd like to nominate Brett Benedict for chair.
Okay?
I'll second that
Any
motion.
other, thank you. Any other nominations? Okay? Hearing none, I guess we're just gonna go, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. And a vice chair.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
You go, buddy.
I'd like to make a motion for Commissioner Garza as vice chair.
All right,
Second.
all right, and a second. Any others? Hearing none, close it. And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you all. Okay, we're at the public comment portion of the meeting. So anything that anybody from the public would like to address with the commission that's not on our agenda, okay, if that's clear, because each of the agenda items, we will have a public opening for you all to speak to that particular item. But if there's anything else that you'd like to address with the commission, this is a great time for you to come forth and tell us what your thoughts are. All right, seeing none, I'll close the public comment portion and move on to new business. And we have, first one is to hold a public hearing. Oh, let me back up. So our process is normal process is that we will present each issue, and the staff will give us a report. Commission will ask questions of the staff. Then we will hear from the applicant or their representative, and commission may have questions and discussions with them. And then we will open for public comments for each of those issues. And we very much invite you to address us. We really appreciate your input on these issues. So, and please keep your comments short and succinct as you can, so that everybody that wants to speak can do so. And please try not to repeat something that somebody else has said, particularly at any length. We allow 3 minutes for each person to speak. All right? Great. Okay, we'll move on to which G4 has now become the first one. We'll hold a public hearing, consider a request by Ironwood Village HOA for a major amendment to the Ironwood Village PAD, DSA 2500152. And Jim.
All right. Well, Happy New Year, Planning Commission.
Thank you.
As you introduced this, we are going to be discussing a proposed amendment to the Ironwood Village Planned Area Development zoning this evening regarding the replacement of turf in 4 of the central drainage basins within the Ironwood Village community. Ironwood Village HOA is the applicant. They're requesting an amendment to their zoning to replace 4 retention basins within its zone district with decomposed granite and other landscaping materials. The location of those 4 basins are identified in the purple ovals on the screen. As you can tell, they're fairly central within the Ironwood Village community. And just to familiarize yourself with this location, in case you're not aware, it's located, of course, at the northeast corner of McMurray and Peart. Ironwood Village is a age-restricted community comprised of 264 homes. Here's a better view of the 4 basins that are in question that are being requested to be converted from turf to decomposed granite. This view is looking to the north, and then this is another perspective of those 4 basins looking south. This is just another additional perspective of the basins in question. The reason for the amendment, not all planned area development zonings have particular text that would prompt the need to come in to request an amendment for this type of detail. However, within the Ironwood Village Planned Area Development Zoning Guide, there is some text that I have highlighted for you that says the Greenbelt open space will include turf areas similar to that as shown in this development guide where this excerpt's from, and then it refers to a variety of exhibits. On Exhibit 1.7 that's referenced out of the Planned Area Development Guide, you can clearly see that the 4 basins that are requested to be converted to decomposed granite are shown to be turf. Then, on their final landscape plan, which was approved after the zoning was approved, as required in this PAD. If you notice the first part that's unhighlighted out of this excerpt says a final landscape plan will be submitted to the city for street frontage landscape areas and common open space areas. That final landscape plan that was approved administratively also identifies turf. The request is to amend that verbiage referencing an alternative request where they would take these 4 basins and convert them to decomposed granite. However, they aren't just leaving them as granite. They are proposing a variety of trees and shrubs in those 4 basins, as graphically shown there to the left. And it would be comprised of a mulga tree, 2 of them in each basin, and then a variety of rosemary and winter blaze plants, and they've even provided the type of granite proposed. If this revision to the PAD is successful, we would ask that the final landscape plan be redlined, which is an administrative process to reflect those 4 basins as decomposed granite and the shrubs as proposed. But if they are successful with the request, it would remove a total of 0.029 acres of turf. No changes are proposed to the east and west green belts. The conversion of these basins would result in 5.87 acres of decomposed granite that's already, just adding a little bit to what's already on the site, primarily along the street frontages of McMurray and Peart. And it would result in a reduction of turf leading to 2.62 acres. I do want to note that as I mentioned, the east-west green belts aren't proposing to be changed, nor is the larger of the retention basins closer to the clubhouse near the entrance to the community. That proposes to remain as turf as well. With regard to PAD amendments, there are some that do require, many in fact, that require going all the way to City Council for consideration and approval. However, there are some type of major amendments that Planning Commission is the final authority for. This happens to be a case where Planning Commission would be acting as the final authority on this amendment. And the reason being, the request does not affect any of these bulleted items. It doesn't add a new use, and it doesn't change the density of the development. It's basically a design standard that's within the PAD guide that doesn't have an impact on a true zoning concern such as land use per se. When reviewing amendments to PADs, there are a series of criteria that have to be evaluated, and the staff report goes into those criteria in greater detail, but I want to focus on a few specific ones. One is a relationship of the plan to surrounding land uses. As I mentioned, there is not really a change of land use with this request. The conversion from turf to decomposed granite does not modify the intended use of that area as a retention basin. And just to note, other HOA communities in the city have made conversions or have had conversations about converting some of their basins from turf to decomposed granite as a water saving measure. Another criteria is with regard to being in conformance with the city's zoning ordinance in general. Since the zoning of this property is planned area development, it is subject to design standards and uses per its approved planned area development guide. In addition, all planned area development zone districts that are residential are subject to a companion document known as the Residential Design Standards for Planned Area Developments. When Ironwood Village was approved in 1999, it was approved under a different version of PAD residential design standards that are in place now. At the time in 1999, in order to get its zoning approved, the approval sought two exceptions to those PAD design standards in place, and they were granted. One was there was a PAD standard requiring concrete walkways through the development to be at least 10 feet wide, and it was approved to have a 5-foot walkway that goes through the central part of the development. Another exception that was granted is back in 1999, side yard setbacks were required to be a minimum of 10 feet from home to property line, whereas in Ironwood Village it was approved with a minimum distance of 15 feet between structures. So there may be some instances where between the actual property line and the structure wasn't necessarily 10 feet, but it ensured that there'd at least be 15 feet between structures. If this were to be a brand new development proposed today, it would be subject to the 2022 version of the PAD residential design standards, whereby we still, within the city, require residential planned area developments to have a 10-foot wide minimum walkway unless an exception was granted. And but we have made something a little bit more restrictive, which is the landscape frontage area, so like the area next to Peart and McMurray, would now be required to have 1 tree and 5 shrubs for every 20 feet. In the 1999 version of which this was approved, it required 1 tree and 3 shrubs for every 30 feet. So staff is recommending that should this PAD amendment be approved, we are recommending a condition that the HOA is to work with its landscaping company to survey the landscaping against the approved final landscape plan and replace any missing trees and shrubs with new trees and shrubs in accordance with that approved landscape plan. That way, it would just bring it and ensure that the landscaping there would be brought up into compliance with the approved plan. Another element of the PAD review criteria talks about adequate pedestrian access. I only bring this up because, as you'll probably hear from some of the attendees this evening, there had been a previous effort to amend this planned area development a few years ago to convert all of the basins to decomposed granite. That request was not supported by staff because the existing turf contributes to recreational purposes that rocked basins really wouldn't be able to accomplish in the same way. And since the site is lacking typical sidewalks along streets, and as it is, it had a central walkway reduced from a 10-foot requirement to 5 feet, it was recommended by staff at that time that the only way that the conversion of all turf would be supported, namely in those east-west areas, would be if the site was amended to provide walkways within those basins to improve that as an amenity for that community. However, that's not being proposed with this new amendment. We're only talking about 4 basins that sit alongside the walkway that's there. And so in this instance, the amendment is supportable since it doesn't impact the area in the same way, and as I mentioned, it is alongside that central spine walkway. So there's already a recreational amenity present in that area. Regarding the notification process, we followed that which is required by code, and then unfortunately the meeting that this was scheduled for had to be moved due to a notification error, and so there were new notices sent out the week of Christmas announcing the moving of this hearing. Staff had received a variety of comments regarding this request. There were several inquiries expressing concern about this turf conversion. Basically, the sentiment is that turf is preferred over the presence of more decomposed granite. It was an amenity offered and promised to the residents. There's a feeling that if those areas were just simply maintained better, there wouldn't be the issues that are prompting the need to convert the turf areas to rock. However, staff has also received a couple of other comments provided in support of the change, contending that this will ultimately result in less water cost in the long run. With that, staff does recommend that Planning Commission approve this amendment to the Ironwood Village PAD, subject to the following condition that I mentioned regarding that the landscaping per the approved final landscape plan shall be replanted in those areas where it's currently missing. And that concludes my presentation.
All right. Commissioners, any questions for staff? No? Seeing none, would the applicant or their representative please come forward and address the commission? Give us your name and address for the record.
My name is Dee Knudsen, 1551 East Manor Drive, Casa Grande, Arizona. Good evening. Thank you, Jim. Excellent presentation, well presented. I'd like to add a couple of things that I think you should know about and should be considered. We went back 10 years in our records and polled all invoices related to our landscaping contracting as they relate to turf maintenance. And we were able to create a timeline for 10 years that would illustrate what has occurred in those turf areas, which I think you will find of interest, so I'll just give you a few highlights on that. First off, in July and August, right in there in the year 2015, a weed called spurge, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it is a Bermuda grass killer. It got into airborne, got into especially our two northern east-west turf areas, and also the basins and a few other areas. Very, very difficult to get rid of it. We started okay, so once we got to the point where we felt like we could then deal with the turf, we started with our landscape company in doing a lot of fertilizing, which has continued every year in the last 10 years. Fertilizing, soil amendments, dethatching, aeration, turf pre-post emergent, all the common kinds of things that you would use to keep your turf well maintained and to keep it healthy. We have also hydroseeded, which occurred about a year after the spurge was initially found, when it was at a point where it could be hydroseeded. And the first hydroseeding in June of 2016 did not take. So it was hydroseeded again in 2016 in many of the turf areas. And it did start to take, so there was some success with that. In addition, when we got to the year 2023, we turned off all the water in the turf areas, in the east-west turf areas, and the 4 basins that we're talking about today. We had 2 to 3 irrigation techs in there during the heat of the summer, going through every single sprinkler, PVC line, valves, valve boxes, timers, everything water related to the turfs. Almost all of it was replaced, and what wasn't replaced was repaired. We felt we just had to start over. So that's what happened in the year of 2023, is when we got done with that. Then we came back in and we hydroseeded those areas. And we ended up again hydroseeding them twice, because the first, after a couple of months, we could see it wasn't taking as well as it should, so the company came back and they hydroseeded again. During this period of time before we hydroseeded, it was the recommendation of our landscape company that we install 2 storm drains in the 2 furthest northern basins that we're talking about tonight. And these storm drains are about 8 foot long, 6 wide, 3 deep, roughly. And so they come in off of the streets. They're right there. And these big wells were dug. A filter type of paper product is then filled in those big wells that they created. And then you put a lot of river rock in there. And that is to help when the water's coming off the street, for what rain we do get, then it's designed to help take care of some of that water, so it's not sitting in those basins for a great period of time. They do help. Did it completely resolve the problem? No, it did not. Meanwhile, get to the year 2024, now we're Bermuda seeding. So now we've identified several areas throughout the turf, and those were Bermuda seeded. We also installed some sod in one basin to try it, and in an east-west basin on one area to see how that would work. Late summer of 2024, that did really well, really, really well. So we knew basically the direction we had to go. And that was that, some of these areas we're just going to have to resod them. So this past summer, we completely resodded one particular east-west basin on one section, and several other identified areas as well. So that's where we are with the turf. The 4 basins, after everything I've told you, have not responded to anything that we have tried. They just don't. We have not sodded them at this point. Right now, they're standing there or sitting there, laying there, without water. We turned the water off because more than half of those 4 basins are dirt. It made no sense to let water run and just waste it when there's no grass there. So we did that. We also went ahead and killed the grass in those basins in September because, again, we knew we were going to have to, we're going to have to resod them, which will be an expensive process, but can be done, or we're going to convert them, which is why we're here today. So that's a pretty good rundown of what's been going on with the grass in our community. The other thing I wanted to talk about, Jim had mentioned, the condition, under the condition that we get the landscaping with the trees and the plants back up to snuff. I will quickly tell you. Fourth quarter, we planted 55 plants and 4 trees interior. First quarter of 2026, the exterior in about 2 to 3 weeks is set to be totally replanted. 217 shrubs and 23 trees. The trees are 24 box. On the interior, we have about 70 plants that we'll be putting in during the first quarter, and we're also putting into 22 trees as well. So we are definitely underway in taking care of some issues that have been there for a while. Lastly, I think that we need to understand the use of the water. The 4 basins, they have roughly an average of 22 sprinklers per basin. If you take a 30-minute period of time, one of those sprinklers over a 30-minute period of time for 24 minutes, because that's the approximate time that we are watering our grass during the summer months, during a particular day. And we're watering the grass 4 or 5 times per week. So the average of one sprinkler runs 300 or uses 330 gallons of water in 24 minutes. If we convert, we'll be using the 2-gallon emitters, 1 2-gallon emitter for 30 minutes uses 18 gallons of water. So there's quite a difference, and it just does make some sense and seems like a reasonable solution to our problem. I would like to bring John Biggs. He is our regional operations manager for Genesis up here, because I assume you have some questions, and he's going to help answer. So.
Okay, any questions for? Yes?
I might have a question.
Yes, please.
Dee, did the board, the HOA board take action on this item in any way? Did it come before? Do you guys have an HOA, I'm assuming? And
Yes.
Did the board take action? Was there a consensus or anything?
The board held a special meeting when it knew what it needed to do with the sod for not only those basins but the entire area. The board held a special meeting in August 27, I think it was. Genesis brought to the table, and John was there. He brought a proposal saying we can resod the whole thing if that's what you want to do for the identified areas. We can, what was the other one?
Sodding, plus doing the turf conversion. And
then a combined.
Combined.
Mm-hmm. And so we chose the combined, and that's what we voted on, because if we did it that way, we saved ourselves $20,000.
Okay, so it went more forward in favor of the board members?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, it was an open session, special board meeting.
And then just my second question to you was going to be, is there an increase in fees with all of this work that you've been doing
No.
over the course
No.
of the last 10 years?
No,
Okay.
no. I mean, well, sure, each year our budget assessments do go up, but it's not just
Right.
landscape.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so let me be clear. You're a board member?
I'm the president of the board.
Very good. Yeah, okay. Any other questions for them? All right, thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that. Now I'd like to open the public portion of the meeting for this particular item. Anyone like to address this meeting, please come forward, give us your name and address for the minutes, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes as best you can so that everyone can have time that would like to. Anybody like to address this issue?
Charles Smith. I live at 1558 East Brenda in Ironwood Village. The staff summary you just had with the recommendation from the City Planning Office has merit. What you don't know, however, is how we got there. You heard a little bit of it from the board president. What she neglected to tell you is that all of that was conducted without homeowner input, without acknowledging that the homeowners had opinions on that, and the whole thing was introduced without concurrence of the homeowners as a community. Also of concern is not just the how it was done, but the situation that it places you as commissioners in today, because you're basically in the middle of an HOA dispute, because there is not any consensus with the homeowners right now. So let me take you through here. As we've already discussed, this is history repeating itself. We did this 4 years ago. The board knew then that they had to have an amendment. They did file for an amendment at that time, but it got vacated, primarily due to cost and also a very vocal buildup from the homeowners themselves. So here we are, fast forwarding 4 years later, and we have a middle of the summer when all the snowbirds are away. Snowbirds love grass, by the way. The snowbirds are all away, and we have the introduction of this thing all over again. It didn't get introduced as something that was for discussion by the homeowners. It got introduced as a contract, which has already been discussed from the board, and all they did was vote to approve the contract. No discussion of the bigger picture of whether or not we really wanted to have those issues addressed. The grass has already been killed. There was an indication there that the board had no intent of applying for the amendment to the PAD, which they knew they required. That wasn't done until October. Like Dee already said, they killed the grass in September. How does this affect you? You're in the middle of the dispute. I don't think it's your job to be judge and jury in the middle of a dispute. So we're not ready. If you deny it or table it, we can always come back. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Anybody else like to address this issue? Sure like to hear from you.
My name is Betty Clark. I live at 1527 East Brenda Drive in Ironwood Village. I have lived in Ironwood Village for over 20 years, having been on the HOA Board of Directors twice for a total of 5 years, and regularly attending board meetings. I can confirm that the HOA boards have tried to maintain the turf in the PAD designated basin areas. HOA attorneys advise HOA board members to listen to and follow the recommendations from the professionals under contract to the HOA. None of the residents speaking against the conversion tonight are professional landscapers, nor are they fully aware of what the professional landscaping company has done over the years in these 4 basins. And the fact that this proposal was not conducted in the correct manner is not true. The information was brought before the public, in a public meeting before the residents in August. The president of the board gave the residents attending that meeting 2 opportunities to speak, to ask questions, to speak against the proposal. Nobody said anything, not one person. Tens of thousands of dollars have been spent on the 4 designated basins on aeration, soil amendment, dethatching, Bermuda seeding, weed killing, storm drains. The HOA boards have diligently followed the professional landscape contractor's recommended grass maintenance. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. Every attempt has been made to grow Bermuda grass in these 4 basins with poor results. The HOA can't afford to continue to waste money in these areas. That money is needed for repairs and updates elsewhere in the community. The 4 basins involve less than 3/10 of an acre. They've looked terrible for years. The professional landscaping company under contract to the HOA is recommending that these basins be converted. Converting the 4 designated north-south basins to granite with boulders, plants, and trees will enhance the appearance of these areas, provide cost-effective maintenance, save water and save money, and protect property values. As the plants and trees mature, they will shade the rock and reduce the heat effect that is of concern to some residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Robin Smith. I live at 1457 North Agave Street. My brother owns the house, but I have proxy to speak on his behalf because I'm the one that lives there. So I moved in 2020, and in my backyard alone, and I don't know how many plants I'm supposed to have, but I have 3, but I have little watering. I should paint them green, so at least there's something green in there. What I have noticed over the time is, again, this is from the residents' point of view, not the board. The board doesn't listen to us. They sent out a survey, kind of a questionnaire before I moved in. They just asked, do people want this? Never gave costs, nothing. And all of a sudden, we get something from the board, the HOA board, saying, we've got this architect already to go to change into Desertscape. They spent at least $60,000. They took that money out of our reserve fund, allocated it to a different fund so that they can use this for landscaping, which they're not supposed to do. And that was the first the residents had heard about changing over landscape. So they've already contracted with architects. They've already contracted to get work done. We knew nothing about it, is what I have heard from other residents. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. They did send out an actual survey the time that we were supposed to meet, and a majority of the residents, because the board couldn't give us any cost, we had no idea if we were going to get an assessment. And most of the residents from the survey did not want the conversion. So now it's dead. were thinking we're really good on top, and so now they did it again. Again, they started without asking. They started without coming to you guys. They came to you guys because they got caught by one of the residents with, or confronted by one of the residents about the grass dying. So now we have this added again. The board has been pushing this for many years. They brought up the cost, the professional landscape. Well, who wins in the landscape? The landscapers. They have to keep planting plants. They have to keep mowing the lawn. They have to keep. They're working. They're learning off of us by having to replant. The board would not have replaced the outside plants if that hadn't been told that they had to do it. City knew that they were they weren't biting by it. So now they're fixing it so that they can push their agenda. And that's how we see it as homeowners. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm Alvin Anderson. I live at 1533 East Brenda Drive. I moved into Ironwood 22 years ago. And the property we're discussing tonight wasn't even developed at that time. So I've seen it from the beginning. About 4 years ago, I was on the board. We were discussing rejuvenation of the grass. My wife and I went out and walked every green belt in the development, and there's a lot of areas that needed attention.
Hang on, Mel. Lost the microphone. Now it's working. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, but the board has done a great job of getting the grass back up in shape, except for these 4 basins. They've never have much grass. I think they've done everything they can do. So I'm really in favor of removing this turf and doing something different, because the only thing we have accomplished is spend a lot of money and waste a lot of water. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies first.
Good evening. Happy New Year to everyone. My name's Angie Bolt.
Can you put the mic down so we can hear you?
Angie Bolt, and I've lived in Casa Grande all my life, 3rd-generation farmers. But I just recently moved to Ironwood Village, 1552 East Laurel, in March, so I haven't been there a whole year. But I walk my dog through these basins, and but today I took some pictures because of the rain, and I think the word basin identifies this. A basin collects water, and that's all they do. And if you want to see pictures, I have them here. I know you have that up there, but can I bring them? Mm-hmm. But it just, when I first moved there, I think in the back, some lady came running in saying, mosquitoes, mosquitoes. So this water just goes into this. They did put some drainage there, but it doesn't work. But we have a lot of rabbits. Rick's house right next to one of these basins. There's a picture of rabbits on there, but they have to keep replacing it because they're like bogs. The grass can't grow in these bogs. And so I'm in favor of just doing away with all that grass and doing what this landscaper wants to do, is put some rock and some nice boulders and get some shrubs in there or ground cover And I think that would just really enhance that whole area, because you're not going to grow grass in that area. I know from living in this town and trying to grow grass on my property as well. But that's all I have to say. But I just wanted to show you those pictures.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Good evening, Chairman Benedict, members of the commission. Rick Miller, 1559 East Brenda Drive. First of all, I would like to thank you for allowing us to be here and to express our concerns. I have a presentation that it was going to be given on January 8th, but we were continued, so actually tonight, I guess you changed that, didn't you? Very good, thank you. Go ahead, let's go to the first slide real quick. I'll run through some slides for you real quickly so you can kind of get an idea. I was the planning and development director when this was approved in 1999. We required the developer to submit a landscape plan to the council before final plats could be recorded and lots sold. I bought into Ironwood Village because of the green belts. They're green belts because they're meant to be green and have turf in them. I will counter some of the comments that have been made that they've never been able to grow grass in here. I've seen it. They used to overseed. These areas were beautifully green. We had a lot of really nice social events in these green areas, and I'd like to see it stay that way. Let's go ahead to the first slide, James, or whoever. Oh, I do it here. Let's see. Which way? Okay. Community has been designed with highly visible and easily accessible open space areas. This was right out of the PAD. The linear open space areas link the community together both physically and visually. These open space areas will be landscaped as inviting recreational areas and access ways where pedestrians can easily travel through the community through these open spaces. That was right from the development guide. I'm hitting the wrong button, I think. This is an illustration in the development guide that I think James had earlier. You can see these are green belts. They're not brown belts. They're not full of rock and decomposed granite, which what they're proposing is not decomposed granite. It's large rock that has been screened, probably 1.5 inch granite that's not easy to walk on. Quickly going through these. Again, one more, flip through. Again, some more images. Go ahead and flip through these a little bit. A lot of you may have seen these. This is a picture of May of 2011. These green belts were pretty green back then. In fact, some of the turf areas in this development have already been reduced. There is a mistake in the staff report. It's not 0.029 acres, it's 0.29 acres, which is about 1/3 of an acre. They've already eliminated some of the grass since the original landscape plans were approved previously. One more time, real quick. These illustrations here, this is August of 25. You know, they shut the water off. They killed the grass. They did so knowing that the commission needed to approve an amendment to the PAD before they came in and asked. They just killed the grass. Go ahead, next. These are some pictures I took recently. These are green belts. These are all over town. This is an area over there in one of the PADs in Casa Grande. Next. This is kind of what we'd be looking at. We'd be looking at dirt belts that get heavily eroded. Go ahead, next. Just real quickly, I'll flip through the few last remaining slides here. You can kind of see what we're talking about. Last thing, real quick. I know I'm out of time. Turf and trees and plants capture carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. The turf retention basins help maintain a more natural environment compared to the barren look of rock basins. Turf retention basins support local ecosystems and create a habitat for wildlife, which rock retentions do not. One last, I think, is there more. These are natural, turf retention basins are natural processes to filter out sediments, heavy metals, nutrients. These help reduce the volume of runoff and lower temperatures. They help enhance filtration. Overall maintenance cost is actually less, if you look it up. Turf retention basins are actually less maintenance, less costly. And I thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sure appreciate your input. Please. Can I see those pictures?
Good evening. My name is Belinda Akes. My husband and I live at 1582 East Earl Drive, and we just recently moved to the village. We have lived in Arizona for 20 years, though. We lived in Eloy for 19, and we decided to downsize and move to a smaller house. And we had been to Ironwood Village many times. My in-laws had lived there back 10 years ago, and we loved the green areas, and that was important to us. My husband and I are professional landscapers. We're from Wyoming, which is different than Arizona, but while living in Eloy, I had quite a bit of grass in the backyard, which I mowed, trimmed, fertilized, worked on the sprinkler systems, and overseeded every week. I did something to the lawn, and that was one reason to move to Ironwood Village, because I wouldn't have as much area to take care of. But I was known for having the most beautiful yard in Robeson Ranch. So I'm proud of that. And I would like to kind of diffuse the situation and give us just a little more time that we could maybe research it a little bit better. We never had a soil analysis. Maybe there's something going on that's keeping the grass from taking hold. I know I'm late to the thing coming on, and I know people will disagree, but I think it would be nice for us to all get together and maybe we can come to a conclusion that maybe we can come up with a different idea. Rock is not maintenance free. You get leaves and soil and dirt and everything in there, and it doesn't just blow out of there with the blower. I know that. It will take maintenance. You'll have to go in there and get on your hands and knees and pull the leaves out. I've done that. So there are different views about what's happening, but I think it would be nice if we had a little time, whether it's 3 months or 6 months. In the scheme of things, I think it would be good for the community to try and come together and settle this in a good way. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Denise Rowetter, and I live at 1589 East Laurel Drive. I moved there in March of 2020, and when I got there, I loved the place. It was beautiful. I had a dog, walked all the time. But the basins, since I moved there, have been going downhill. I saw the maintenance that they were trying to do. In fact, even this last year, as I was riding my bike around, they've been doing the basins. We're not talking about the green belts. We're talking about basins that is not working. I am in favor of what the board wants to do. I do believe that Rock does a really good job. And I also know that if you look back into some of the major areas of Arizona, they are going this way. I think in 2015, I read that Phoenix was about 15% now where they have grass in the homes. I lived in homes where they were surrounded by gravel and such, and I've never had any problems with weeds and such. You get somebody to put down weed deterrent, and that takes care of it. So, like I said, I am in favor with the board to do this just to make it look nicer and maintain. The grass is not being maintained. It just seems like it can't be grown. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, hi, I'm Monica Jesty. I live at 1569 East Brenda Drive. Hard to even remember my name. Okay, sorry. I've lived in Ironwood Village 20 years, transferred from Nebraska, where we had lots of grass because we had lots of rain. And so coming to the desert, I thought, well, you know, it's not going to be very beautiful or anything because it's going to be all brown. It is not all brown. We have beautiful plants, and we do have grass, and I know that there is some contention, and I just want everyone to know that's here from both sides. Love you all. We're neighbors, we're friends. You have a difference of opinion than I do, and that's okay, because that's what we're here in the United States for, right? So I just want to say that I think the board has done an awful lot to try and maintain this community. I am the chairman of the Welcome Committee, and so therefore we have a visit with every new resident that comes into our community, and we are told by these new people about how wonderful the place looks, how they are so happy to find a place where it is maintained well. There are other communities where they're kind of lax and don't really keep up the value of the homes. And I think that This is a project that has been long overdue in coming, and I think if we just waste any more time, it's just going to take it longer and longer to happen. And I just hope that you will see that there are not as many people that we wanted to be here, because they are very, very much in favor of this project. And here again, thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anybody else like to address this issue? Yes, sir.
Hi there, my name is Mike Ritter. I'm the 201 West Bisnaga Street. I have a pretty extensive background with landscape and especially in desert environment, excuse me. Just something I just want to point out. Obviously, I'm not really concerned what happens with it either way, but I did notice some discrepancies in what's being said tonight. I would like you guys to take that into account. With the amount of water that is supposedly coming out of these sprinklers. Now, I have not personally inspected them. I don't know exactly what kind of brand they're using. The 24 minutes at 330 gallons is pretty on the high end, upwards of what a golf course would see, and that wouldn't be used in such a small area. So that might be a little bit of a discrepancy there, as well as watering 4 to 5 times a week. That's basically going to kill your grass because you're drowning it. It cannot breathe. So something to bring to point there. I don't know if anybody's ever been out of town here, but there's golf courses everywhere. I'm not saying they're on every corner. However, they seem to do pretty well. Obviously, with the proper management and watering, it can grow out here just fine. It really can. So that's all I'd like to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to address this issue? All right. Seeing none, I'll close the public portion of the meeting and bring it back to the commission. Commissioners? Yes, sir. Garrett?
So I'm kind of stuck, I would say. I don't know what's the truth from what we heard. So it kind of makes this hard, and that's where I have to rely on what I know is proper in landscaping as far as a desert environment and the general direction many cities and jurisdictions in the state of Arizona have moved, especially with a lot of the work I do down in Tucson, in the type of landscape requirements that they have there and the restrictions on turf areas and things like that. Just because water is so sensitive, I think replacing 0.029 acres, what does that say? A total of 6,403 square feet. So one lot, one home lot for, it doesn't seem like that is a detriment to the community to replace that, especially if it's being replaced with attractive landscaping in its place with his new trees, things like that can be maintained. So that's, I don't see this as a detriment, and especially with the amount of other green space that exists in the community today. That's just where I stand.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Did you guys bring up doing artificial grass maybe? I mean, what's the cost? Because there's some really...
So probably for somebody to address that, the president, president of the board, right?
No, I'm on the landscape
No,
company.
I'd like to hear from the president of the board, I think.
Because what's the cost right now for the rock?
It's very expensive.
Oh, I apologize. What's the cost for the rock right now?
The cost for the rock? To do these basins, it's about $30,000.
For each one?
Together.
To total? And did you try alternative, like maybe getting some artificial grass to do a compromise?
Artificial grass, no, I will say no.
Okay.
However, I do know when we looked at it before, a few years back, that at that point in time, it was cost prohibitive for our little HOA. Number one. Number two, the heat, the summer heat, and the ability of artificial grass to extend for a great period of time wasn't there. Now it's been
I was
a
just
few years.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
it might be an alternative to kind of balance out people who are wanting grass.
I don't, I guess my question would be, because they are retention basins, these particular 4 basins are quite small, and so they have a pretty significant
Right, I've
slope
seen them. Yeah, I've been
on
there.
them. Okay,
I know
so
what you're
you know.
talking about.
And so if you put artificial turf in there, I guess my question would be, how is it going to drain?
Well, it does drain. I mean, they do put sand and,
Right.
you know,
So, yeah.
they-
But, you
but
know, it
anyway,
would-
and then my next question is, when you had these meetings, were they just in August when there was no, when the snowbirds were gone?
We did
So-
it, and yes, it was August 27.
So when do the snowbirds normally come in your area, in your subdivision?
Gosh, October, November.
So
the
wouldn't it
bulk-
be
the
more
bulk of them.
feasible to have maybe a second meeting in October so you can include everybody? Because it sounds like we have an imbalance here. Just a question.
The reason that it was held in August was really the sod. We had several areas that we had to sod. And if you're going to sod, you've got to back into it. So for the landscape company, they need to know so far in advance in order to get their name and order in with the sod company. And
So when would you
it's quite a ways out. So typically, I mean, they would have to know by that period of time just how much sod they need, because there's just a window for sod.
But
each year.
when would you lay the sod? I mean, if you're doing,
It's already laid. It's done.
no, my question is, if you're having the meeting in August, you're pre-planning for the sod. So when would you be planting the sod? Because you wouldn't be planting it in August, September. I mean, you'd be planning it more towards March or April the next year.
Golf courses overseed at the end of September and
But the-
early October.
But are they planning winter rye or
Or winter.
or Bermuda?
It's Bermuda.
See, they're talking Bermuda,
Yeah.
and that would not be
Bermuda is planted when it's very warm.
right. So it's not very warm.
It's, well, you look at this year, we just went through the
No,
warmest
correct,
December
but I'm
on
just
record.
saying, so you would have time to have another meeting in October, because most likely you'd be planting Bermuda in April, May, right in there, or February, right in there. So it would be for the next year.
The plan was to get the sod installed before we hit winter of 2025.
Okay,
That's why August.
gotcha, okay.
So while you're up there, your HOA, how often do you have elections?
Once a year.
Once a year for all
February.
the board, or does it rotate?
It's a rotating board.
Gotcha. And I got you. So how long are the terms?
3 years.
Very good. All right. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate you coming back up. Okay, yes.
I agree. This is a difficult one, and I think there's a lot of contention between both sides, which I get. And whether it was brought up before the whole population or not, I think we need to send it back to the HOA to vote on it, so we have a clearer picture of what the population of the community wants.
Absolutely. I agree.
But I think the challenge there is they can't make that choice. They can't make a choice to not have grass there because of because of the PAD. That's why we're
Well,
here.
But we want to hear from them first.
What I'm saying is, do they want to continue on with the grass, or does the community as a
Want
whole want to see the granite?
Yeah.
And then, once we have that determination from the community, then we can make our choice.
Well, I guess to my mind, if it's, for me, the government that's closest to the people governs best. And, I'm not sure that, somebody made the point early on that maybe this shouldn't be before us, the HOA should settle it. And,
Well, and that's what I'm
that should be where the decision should be made, so.
Yeah.
Except that the city in general wants to have a beautiful city. These seem to me to be very internal. It's tough.
And that's what I'm saying.
We're stuck in it.
Once the community decides, then we have our course of action.
I don't feel like they have decided.
Correct. Yeah.
I feel like they need to have another meeting.
Mhm.
I mean, if it was only in August, that's when none of the snowbirds are there, and that's not fair. That's, pretty much.
Sure.
Yeah, I question, have they actually explored all the alternatives?
Yeah.
And actually presented that to the entire residents?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Yeah, I think presenting it as a landscape contract kind of associated it with all the other green space in the community. So it was hard to make a determination on this poor landscape contract who's still going to maintain everything else the same way, and then have these basins included in that. So I think it needs to be a completely separate item for discussion as a hearing for you folks to have that communication, and we're going to want to hear where the majority of folks reside in that decision. And hopefully everybody shows up and there's good discussion and people have that conversation. But I feel like it's really not for us to make.
Correct.
It's for you.
Yeah. So I'm inclined to table until they have the opportunity to do that.
Okay.
Second.
Mark?
I was just going to
Tell
say,
us about tabling.
just keep in mind, if we do table it, we can only table it for 75 days, which is essentially 2 meetings. So we would have to hear it in March, regardless of what else happens. So just wanted to make that clear. We can't really table it until, in perpetuity.
Until,
Yeah.
Well, and nor should we, but
Yeah.
good
But I just wanted to
clarification.
point out,
Yeah.
we only have, under our code,
Yeah.
you guys can only table it.
Right.
Up
Thank
to
you.
75 days, which
Yeah.
would be the
Perfect.
March meeting.
Because I don't think it's right for us to make the decision when the community hasn't.
I agree.
Mr.
All
Chair, I
right.
want to add that if you
Yes.
do decide to table, if you could table it to a time certain, either next month or the following month, P and Z, and you may want to discuss this with the applicant.
Okay.
I want to jump in too.
Yes.
It's a little bit out of sequence, but I did err. It just for clarification, it's not 0.029 acres. It is indeed 0.29 acres. So it is nearly a third. I just wanted to clarify. The staff report is correct, but I just typed too many zeros here on the presentation.
Gotcha. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Good discussion. We got a whole lot to cover tonight. I don't want to cut off discussion. If it's important, please bring it up. Otherwise, I'd sure like to move along because we have some others.
I make a motion to table this until, well, I think what Dan was saying is we should also ask the applicant when they could conceivably have the next meeting,
Yeah.
which would be the HOA.
So
If the board.
So you have a question for the
For the board president. So if we were to table this, when could you have a meeting with your residents?
The options are February or March. Come on up to the mic, please.
We have a meeting in a couple of weeks coming up. And then we have our annual meeting and an election of officers, February 9th, thank you.
February
8th, whatever it is. And then we have another board meeting, the third, our board meetings are the third Wednesday of every month. And in between there is the election of officers, the second Wednesday.
So
Okay.
then we should
The
table
Mar-
it to March,
Till our March meeting.
to our March meeting.
Your March meeting, okay, got it.
That'll be March 5th.
Is that good? Got your answer?
Thank you.
Very good, Andrew.
So
Thank you.
I move to table this discussion until our March 5th meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay. We have a motion to table. Any more discussion? Please feel free. I don't want to stamp on it, but I want to. I don't know. Kind of both sides of the story here, guys. All right, very good. Please call the roll.
Member Ibrahim? Aye. Member Clegg?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Aldrett?
Aye.
Member Hubbard?
Yes.
Vice Chair Garza?
Aye.
And Chairman Benedict?
Yes. Thank you.
They clear out, I have to go to the restroom.
Sorry?
Why they clear, I have to go to the restroom. I know it's not 7:30, but.
Okay, well, everybody's getting up, so
That's what
we're
I
going to
said.
take a 5-10 minute break here.
All right, good evening, Commission. This is a request for a conditional use permit for manufacturing of chemicals within the General Industrial I-2 zoning district. The site is located between Thornton Road and Burris Road, north of Commerce Drive. Again, the site's zoned I-2 and consists of approximately 26 acres. A little overview of the project. The applicant proposes to develop a phased chemical manufacturing campus on approximately 26 acres. Phase 1 development will occur on approximately 6 acres on the southwest corner of the site and will include facilities for the purification and blending of semiconductor-grade chemicals, including hydrochloric acid, ammonium hydroxide, along with associated warehousing, laboratories, quality control, and office space. Future phases will expand production capabilities and supporting infrastructure for KPPC, has reserved space on the site for a semiconductor-grade sulfuric acid facility, which is anticipated within 5 to 7 years. Again, this is subject to market conditions and the customer demand. Regarding the CUP criteria, review criteria, all of these are covered in the staff report. Staff finds the applicant has met all the criteria. I will be covering one of them, that the site for the proposed use relates to the streets and highways adequate in width and pavement type to carry the quality and kind of traffic generated by the proposed use. So with this, traffic statement was provided with the CUP. The project is anticipated to generate 61 AM peak trips and 61 PM peak hour trips. They have indicated that there will be approximately 10 to 12 trucks per day arriving anytime between 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and that they will maintain a 3-day inventory of both raw materials and product, allowing for the truck delivery to be spread throughout the workday and typically outside of the normal AM and PM peak hours. Also, I touched in the staff report that this site is also part of a 5-lot plat currently under review. One of the purposes of this plat is to create roadways that will connect to the Gila Bend Highway via Garden Avenue. There will also be access along Ash Avenue alignment that will provide access to Commerce Drive to the south for secondary access, shown here. With regarding the stakeholder process, staff and the applicant met all the requirements. Pre-scoping letters were sent out by the applicant in November, and all the updates were done, or I guess this is a new public hearing dates for dispatch and mailings were done by staff. Myself or the applicant did not receive any inquiries for this request. So with that, staff recommends the commission approve the conditional use permit and associated resolution. Happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
That was really fast. Okay. Commission, questions for staff? Okay. Would the applicant or their representative please come address the commission?
Hello, my name is Christina Cram. I'm with WMA Architects. And I think you covered it pretty well, Jacqueline.
Can you put that up? Be sure you're getting caught in the microphone.
Is that better?
Keep talking.
Okay. Let me know if it's not better. Okay. I'm here to represent KPPC and their move into the community. They're very excited to be here. They're very excited to be a responsible partner. They are meeting all the requirements for environmental concerns, as well as any other concerns with an industrial use. So they're just excited to be here, and we're excited to represent them.
Okay. Any questions? Oh, did you give us an address? You have to have name and address.
Okay, 1743 East Vogel Avenue, Phoenix, Arizona, 85020.
Thank you so much. Sorry for that. Questions? Yes.
Yeah, I just have a couple questions. Sorry, hot mic.
No, you're good.
So phase 1, I got What's the plan for the next phases? Are they there yet? Or what's going to trigger their next point where they're going to be expanding the footprint?
That would be triggered by the need for the end user.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is there, you say the end user, is there one?
Multiple.
Okay.
Yeah.
And phase one, how many employees were we talking about in phase one?
58, which is that 61 cars coming in the morning and leaving in the evening.
Perfect. And then phase two, different process, or is it part of this approval?
It'll go part of a different approval, yeah. It'll be
right?
part of next approval.
Sorry, what was the?
Phase two would be included in this?
Yes, the CUP
Right.
would be for the entire parcel, but they would come in with additional site plan amendments for that.
Which administratively approved, right?
Yes, but they would also require additional traffic analysis as well.
Okay. And I'm sorry, did you tell us how many employees then, phase two?
It's not determined right now.
And I'm sorry, one more question. Single shift right now? Is this going to be a first shift?
A single shift right now,
Okay.
yes, to start.
Okay.
And then you said they're coming and going in between off hours. Are they coming off of I-8 or are they coming through Pinal?
So that's the trucks that are coming off hours, and they are, do you have that slide? I think you have the, yeah.
Well, that's.
Right there, yep, so they're going, I have that, I would have to read it, but they are going the recommended route by the planning department.
Which is?
Yep, that's okay, I can pull it up
We
real
don't
quick.
have a recommend.
What's
Yep.
that?
I mean, we
Per
don't-
our meetings, we were, not a recommended route, I guess, but per our meetings, we did meet the consultant's requirements. Do you have more questions on that statement?
What was your recommended mount?
Yeah.
Okay.
Route, Jacqueline?
We don't have a recommended route. We go with what we can't dictate what the trucks use.
Because isn't this hazardous material? Highly hazardous material I was reading?
Yeah, I was just gonna, one of my questions was gonna be, can you describe for a layman the materials, what we're talking about?
Yes, they are, it's ultra pure materials that are made, that are used in semiconductor manufacturing.
Okay.
So they're highly toxic. It's a hazardous, an H3 occupancy. So yes, they are, and the campus has met all the requirements as far as having the air scrubbed, the wastewater treated. They've met the highest quality that goes above and beyond what even like the basic code requires.
My guess is it's going up north, so the plan
Yes,
would be through Pinal.
it is, but I do have it in the.
There's no houses around here, is there?
No.
I couldn't.
It's all industrial.
I was just trying to make
Yes,
sure. I
yeah.
couldn't tell.
Yeah, get
Yeah.
that big picture of it, see that.
But
So
see,
it's going-
What's down here?
No.
I know that, but what's down here?
The ones we've approved over the years.
These aren't.
See the tank,
What's this?
that triple tank thing, and then this. Well, that was platted,
Is that housing?
no.
It's
Uh-uh.
just, okay, that's all I wanted to make sure.
No, the only housing that, if I'm in the right place, the only housing I know of is right here on Peters Road. The houses there's like 3 or 4 right next to the tile manufacturer? It's right down the road from them. No, I guess to me, to that concern, it's not so much there that it bothers me. It's and we've had this before, and you've heard me say this before. It just makes me nervous as heck because we keep putting in these chemical plants that are, and they're shipping up to the valley, and which is kind of okay, but it's driving right through the middle of town. And it just makes me really nervous.
Can I answer real quick the
Oh,
route?
sure, any comments would be great. Yeah, please, if you got anything that'd help us.
It's the South Commerce Drive to Peterson Rose to East Thornton.
And then where from Thornton? Either Thornton goes to 8 or Thornton goes to Canal.
It does.
I believe it's to, I want to say to 8, but I don't have it.
Right.
I don't have the answer directly.
But
in
just
front
like
of
the
me.
other plants, we can't.
No, I know we can't, but we should be able to do something because,
Are you sure we can't do anything?
I don't know,
You're
can we
engineer.
not?
These guys are the experts, I'm just a
Well,
layman.
I'm just wondering if we can make it a condition of the
can.
use permit, right? That they're traveling south on Thornton to Interstate 8.
Yeah, that's not something we can really require, the direction of traffic. Plus, it would be difficult to enforce.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
We can look sternly at them.
Works for me.
Oh, my God.
I do often, by the way. Every time I drive down Canal, I look at them sternly.
Yeah. And we are talking, it's 8 to 10 trucks for the entire day, as far as the KPPC site is.
And if we had a spill, do we have the capability with our fire department to clean this, or?
A spill on the road? Yeah, and the isotainers are double lined and very safe. They do have they have, things built into them to keep them safe on the road.
But I mean, does Casa Grande, do we?
Does the conditional use
There is a
permit?
hazmat team, and fire is a reviewer on both the conditional use permit and site plan, as well as the building permit.
Okay, I just
Okay,
want,
good.
okay.
Okay, any other questions for the applicant? We're thinking, we're not thinking. All right. Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thanks for your time. Thank you.
Now I'd like to open the public hearing for this issue. Anybody from the public like to address this issue, please come forward, give us your name and address for the record.
I have a question.
Okay,
Gloria
get- what?
Johnson, Story
What?
12.
Hold it, get the mic down so we can hear you, so we can record you.
I'm under short, huh?
But
Okay.
I'm good with
Gloria
that.
Johnson Story, 1245 East Laurel Drive, Casa Grande, Arizona. On the I-8 issue, Clark, the city is working on some kind of driving condition thing. I thought someone had said something last year about where they would limit the truck traffic. I don't know if I'm dreaming this, but somewhere along the way it came up that the city was trying to create a traffic pattern to avoid the big trucks because it's getting really scary to drive through downtown, our area. Is there something in the works on that? Does anyone know?
If the question could be pointed or directed to the commission, and the commission may ask Clark.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners?
Answer that.
Well done, Jim.
I'd be glad to. Public Works has undergone some initial studies at developing a Burris Road corridor, including a couple submittals to the UP Railroad to look at some planning concepts to get their buy-in. The most recent submittal was last week. We revised the alignment based on their comments, and we have a lot of utility issues along the corridor. So it's going to take us time, but we're looking at a Burris Road alignment from I-8 north that would wrap around the north side of the airport and tie into Pinal, and with the notion that that would be a good route for heavy vehicles, trucks, and for workers. So it would bypass a majority of the community. It would go south of Val Vista and then go roughly a quarter mile and then turn on the north side of the airport to head west if you're head southbound, for example.
Okay.
But then it would wrap around the airport, tie into Burris, cross the railroad, and then continue on into this area.
So not on Val Vista?
It would not tie into Val Vista. There are a lot of homes along Val Vista between Burris and Pinal, and so that was quite pointedly the idea is let's stay away from the homes with what would be used. It's not a truck route, it would be heavily used by trucks.
Okay, I had just heard that there was something in the planning, so thank you for sharing. So it won't prevent Pinel from being used, though, still.
Go ahead.
Clark, can you answer that?
You go, Gary.
Pinal would be used from north of the airport to I-10.
Okay, so it would go around the heavily traffic part. Okay, thank you.
Correct.
Thank you, Gloria. Anybody else from the public like to address this issue? Okay, none. I'll close the public portion of the meeting. Bring it back to the commission.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the conditional use permit and associated resolution DSA 2500131.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Member Ibrahim?
Aye.
Member Clegg?
Yes.
Member Smith?
No.
Member Aldrete?
Aye.
Member Hubbard?
No.
Vice Chair Garza?
No.
Chairman Benedict?
I think we're split.
Rachel, eh?
Until the city can find a way to work with the truck traffic, sending hazardous waste down through 70,000 residents is just not the way for me. So I think when you guys bring this before us, that conversation needs to be had. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. I didn't count. Am I correct? We're split? Thank you, Dan.
Yes.
And I'd say we live next to gas stations that bring in gasoline tankers and all these other hazardous things that go on near our communities, and we never are, then we don't know because we just are not that tied in to some of these things. We live our lives and all of these dangerous materials may be around us at some point, but we just don't know. And so that's where I think just because we know that this is going to be an industrial area and this has volatile materials doesn't mean that it makes it any less safe than any of the other volatile materials that are currently in that area of our city. And then additionally, KPPC, they chose Casa Grande for a reason. They've kind of been talking about this for a while. We've all been a part of what those kind of industrial development in our growing industrial area is supposed to be. It would look very bad on the city to get to this point where they are trying to finally develop and we come in and we say no because of something that is, and I'm not trying to put it on the city like this, but in a way it's a bit of our fault because we have not got that infrastructure in place that is, and so that's not the applicant's fault, that is our fault. And so if they want to do that, we have an area for it. Obviously, we would like them to use I-8. We can't force them to use I-8. Our infrastructure is our problem. We can't put that on the applicant. So that's where, I would like us to go forward with this just because I know what it means to our city as far as economic development. And I think that's very important, especially when they're trying to do it in a place that we have said this is where it should happen. And so if they're trying to do it where we have said it should happen, and then we go and take that back, again, it's a black eye on the city. And so that's where I stand.
No, I hear you, and I appreciate very much your expounding on that. I really do. There is a reason it's a conditional use. You know, so, Jacqueline, did I see a map of where we had, for lack of a better term, volatile compounds, plants with volatile compounds that we had approved? I guess it'd be CUPs that we had approved in this area? No?
Well, previously, I don't believe I included it in the.
Okay, yeah, it's not
There
in
is
this one? Yeah, that's my challenge. My challenge is the volume of it that has come, that we have already approved and under conditional use permits. And, yeah, again, and you're absolutely right. You know, if we were ahead of it with the infrastructure, then this wouldn't be such an issue for us. We aren't. And so I vote no. Okay. Motion fails. So, on to the next one. G2, public hearing and consider forwarding a recommendation to City Council for a zone change request from B4 to I2 for DSA 25-00128. Jacqueline again.
This site is located on the southwest corner of Gila Bend Highway and Burris Road. The site is currently zoned B4, and the request is to zone to I2 General Industrial. I just want to note, it is noted in the staff report, but this was rezoned to B4 along with the southern portion of the parcel in 2016, and this was done prior to the general plan amendment, or excuse me, the general plan update in 2021, and prior to the influx of the industrial in this area. And the site, this portion of the parcel is 23 acres. Here's the zone change review criteria. I'll be covering on the next couple slides, and it's covered in detail in the staff report. Regarding action or criteria 1, that the action is consistent with the city's general plan, including the goals, policies, and other applicable elements. One of the goals of the manufacturing industry is to provide and expand the manufacturing industry land use areas to accommodate a variety of industries, and action steps to identify locations where it would be beneficial to increase manufacturing industry areas within the city. And goal manufacturing industry number 5 is to encourage appropriate and responsible industrial development in appropriate locations. Regarding criteria number 2, rezoning conforms to the general plan if it proposes land uses, densities, or intensities within the range of identified uses of the general plan. Again, the request is from I2 and is an appropriate zoning district in the manufacturing industry land use category per the 2030 general plan. There's not a specific density nor intensity for this land use category that pertains to general industrial development. However, I2 is appropriate, again, in this category, and compatibility can be achieved to the design at the major site plan stage if needed. And finally, the third criteria is that the proposed zone change is necessary and proper at this time to meet the land use needs of the residents of the city. The city's current demand for general industrial land is significant, and this rezone would expand and put really this parcel as one whole zoning district. And also, staff is aware of the residential area to the north and the zoning along Gila Bend Highway, which is also a gateway to the city. So because of this, have you seen the staff report, staff has added conditions of record to help with the aesthetics, as well as no conditional use permits for the storage of utilization or manufacturing of volatile or explosive materials within 400 feet of the highway. And again, at the time of site plan, staff will ensure that appropriate measures will be incorporated into the final design to ensure development is compatible with the area. Regarding the stakeholder process, staff and applicant met all the requirements. The applicant did send out pre-scoping letters in October of last year, and notices and signs were updated for this meeting. I did not receive any comments, nor did the applicant receive any inquiries as well. So staff recommends forwarding a recommendation of approval to City Council for the zone change request DSA 25-00128 from Community Service B4 to General Industrial I2 with the following conditions of record as noted in the staff report. And then happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
All right, commissioners, questions for staff? So can you go, do you have the existing zoning map?
Yep.
There, yeah. All right.
Oh, here it is.
There you go. So this little kind of like an L that's up in the, just across Gila Bend. It's kind of reddish, kind of, sort of. Do you know what that is? You know what zoning that is?
If I'm not mistaken, it is, I believe it's vacant, but it's like an office building on the corner.
Right, but the zoning there?
That would be B4 too.
That's B4?
I believe, yeah.
Okay. And then there's some all the way back to Thornton Road, and all of the rest around, except for.
Because everything south is I2.
Well, showing even I-1 up against Gila Bend. Right?
And yeah.
On both sides of Gila Bend there.
Between Burrs, yes, between Burrs and Thornton.
And the yellow is a PAD.
Correct.
And is it easy for you to describe for me real quick what's allowed in that PAD?
I don't have the staff report in front of me, but I believe it was residential, but I don't think they have cause, so that will likely be redeveloped as something else.
I hate when that happens. Okay.
Yeah, it's a old, early 2000 PAD.
All right, very good. Any other questions, commissioners? Nope. Very good. With the applicant, their representative, please come forward and address the commission. Please give us your name and address for the record.
Thank you so much. My name is Jessica Sarkissian with Upfront Planning and Entitlements, 1811 South Alma School Road in Mesa, Arizona, representing the applicant here. So this case, as Jacqueline mentioned, had come before you guys before for it to be rezoned for industrial I2, which it was. And then due to the time I believe at the hearing, it was requested that the northern portion be retained as B4 in hopes that to just continue to accentuate Gila Bend Highway for commercial and items like that. The surrounding area has continued to develop as industrial and continues to push out that way, as you'll see with the general plan. It is in conformance with the general plan for industrial. And the owner has gone out for development and trying to look for users on the site, and every single one of them says, I want access on Gila Bend Highway. And so they are looking for frontage, they're looking for view, they want visibility, and so that is what they're looking for. By rezoning it to industrial, it doesn't take away the opportunity for compatible commercial uses to go on there. It just allows for those other users to come in and have the frontage and the visibility along the highway that they're looking for with their signage or monumentation or whatnot like that. But that is the item that we're trying to address here, is just putting it back to what was originally requested all those years ago, to make it I2 so that they can fill in the space and put in a master plan for it. And we did actually receive one comment from a sign, but it was just, the sign company put the sign on the wrong property, so we got a nice call, and the neighbor, he's like, I'm fine, I don't care. So Yeah.
Okay.
It was the neighbor directly to the west.
Great. Thank you. That explanation really helped. Any questions? That's the. Mm-hmm. What's the residential development? It's got a name.
The existing one?
Sorry?
The existing development?
The plat.
Yeah,
No, this
that's
was
fine.
Acacia Farm.
Well, I mean,
Well, there's Western Manor.
Western
Yeah.
Western
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know if you're.
That's what we were trying.
So,
Oh my gosh.
so why we've interrupted her to the west, the green and the greenish gray. So it's,
Directly west is actually in the county, so it would be,
Gotcha.
it's residential, it's, sorry, like, general rural.
general rule, yeah.
And then where's all those big old houses? Over right here?
They're up a little further.
We have
almost
no
a mile
idea
for-
what that
for that.
PAD is, because I looked in the staff report and I couldn't find, it just says PAD.
On
Do you
the
know,
uses, it was
Jessica, by chance?
residential.
I don't, but being that it's been there since 2000 and not platted, I don't. A long time ago in the heyday when everything was going in the early 2000s, I mean, we entitled so much stuff in Casas Grandes as PAD, which is all kind of gone.
It could have been issue
Yeah.
cause in the 2000s, you know. I'm just
Casualty
saying.
of too much entitlement. So.
Thank you.
Anything else for? No? No? All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, I'd like to open the public portion of the meeting for this issue. Anyone like to address it, please come forward. Give us your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing none, I'll close it. Bring it back to the commission.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay?
I'd like to make a motion to forward a recommendation of approval to City Council for zone change requests DSA 2500128 from Community Services B4 to General Industrial I2 with the conditions of record.
Okay, got a motion?
Second.
Got two or
Either
3
way.
seconds? Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion? Yeah, I'd like to have B4 kind of services, along that kind of a main entry kind of thing, but, boy, they're all along to the east of it as you get in closer to town is more industrial, already, and so I'm not sure that, that continuing to make it, required is necessary for me.
Yeah.
Everybody's all worn out. All right, please call the roll.
Member Ibrahim? Aye. Member Clegg?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Aldrete?
Aye.
Member Hubbard?
Yes.
Vice Chair Garza?
Aye.
And Chairman Benedict?
Yes. Oh, that was easier. Okay, we're on G3, I think. Please tell me if I'm wrong. So we will hold a public hearing and consider forwarding a recommendation to the City Council for a request by Wuda Cooper Development for a zone change for Peart Road from R3 CR to R3. Okay, Sam?
All right, thank you, Chair. So we're here to hold a public hearing and consider forwarding a recommendation to City Council for a request by Woda Cooper for a zone change from R3 with the conditions of record to R3. So the proposed site is along the west side of North Peart, just south of Florence Boulevard. The current zoning, like I said, is R3 with conditions of record, and I will get to the specifics here because I know it sounds like we're changing it to the same thing, but, so, and then the general plan area is community corridor. Okay, so the applicant is requesting a zone change for 465 and 475 North Peart Road. So the current zoning is R3 with conditions of record, and the applicant is asking to remove those conditions of record without changing the R3 zoning. So some history, in 2015, the landowner had applied for a zone change to R3 for these two properties. And and at that time, conditions of records were imposed that would result in mitigating the potential undesirable impacts that future development would have on the subject property. To the north is Warren Funeral Home. So there was concerns about being a good neighbor and being compatible use with that property. So there were conditions of records set at that time. And the request at that time was to build condos on these sites. So one of the conditions created limited the type of development to housing units for individual sales. So no development materialized. And here we are down the road where now we are required to have cause. It doesn't look like we're going to be getting cause anytime soon for these types of individual sale lots, which renders this lot or these two lots effectively undevelopable at this time. So the applicant is proposing an 81 unit senior living apartment. So it would be going from a multifamily condos to multifamily apartments, because that is something that can be developed on that site. So the existing conditions of record, there is a minimum 30-foot landscape setback requirement for the western 350 feet. And this is the area that is shared with the Warren Funeral Home. An 8-foot block wall was required along that same 350 feet to the north. Building setbacks were set for 30 and 75 feet, depending on the direction the building was going to be facing. Any north-facing patios or balconies were prohibited along that western 350 shared border. And then all dwelling units shall be designed for individual unit sales, such as townhomes or condominiums. So looking at some of the conformance with city code, want to look at the action. Is this action consistent with the city's general plan, including the goals, policies, and applicable elements? R3 is an appropriate base zoning category within the community corridor. The Marigold Crossing zone change aligns with the general plan goal to promote high-density residential uses along urban corridors and near major commercial centers. And then action steps 4.1 and 4.4 encourages high-density multifamily developments on infill sites along key corridors and recognizes multifamily developments meeting a housing demand while encouraging the conservation of water resources. Their proposal is in line with the city's general plan and the city's intentions going forward by providing a multifamily high-density living option. And then rezoning conforms to the general plan if its proposed land use densities or intensities are within the range identified uses densities with the general plan. This rezone request does not change the land use, densities, or intensity of what is currently in place on this property. It is already zoned R3. It will remain R3. This request essentially is just amending the conditions of record. So what is allowed as far as density is 25 dwelling units per acre. The R3 zone permits a density of up to 21.78 dwelling units per acre. And our proposal, the applicant's proposal is proposing no more than 18 dwelling units per acre. proposed zone change is necessary and proper at this time. So while there has been concern about the oversupply of multifamily products, we are aware that apartments are not favorable generally at this point. This zone change does result in creating additional multifamily entitlement, or it does not result in creating additional multifamily entitlement. Since the property is already zoned R3, the purpose of the zone change is to remove the conditions. The applicant also reports being in regular contact with the funeral home and having come to an acceptable agreement that would allow them to move forward by removing these conditions of record. And then planning staff believe that removing the CRs entirely could create a situation where a future development could be proposed and approved that would not have any of these protections in place. So we don't want to see that, we give them no conditions of record. It ends up not being coming to fruition with their proposal, and then something else comes in. So we are going to recommend that the following amended and new conditions of record replace the existing ones that are currently associated with this zone. So here are those changes. So on the first condition of record, the landscape setback will remain, but we are removing the requirement for a minimum of 30-inch box trees. We are removing the 8-foot block wall requirement, but building setbacks for buildings with a north-south orientation shall be a minimum of 30 feet, and then 75 feet on the 350 feet of shared property line. We're moving 3 altogether, removing the requirement that there be no north-facing balconies. Removing the original number 4, all dwelling units shall be designed for individual unit sales, such as townhomes, condominiums, etc. We would remove those. We would add that the maximum gross density of this site shall not exceed that 18 dwelling units per acre. And then prior to development, the 2 parcels associated with this property are to be combined into 1 parcel. And then in accordance with Casa Grande Municipal Code, that the owners shall dedicate all the necessary right-of-way in accordance with the classification of roadways. Oh, and that these dedications be done prior to or no later than the time of platting or site plan approval or otherwise provided by Casa Grande Municipal Code. And then all of our public notification requirements have been met. Neither staff nor the applicant has received any inquiries or comments from about this proposal. So staff is recommending that the Planning Commission forward to City Council a recommendation to approve DSA 25-00188, a request by Woda Cooper Development for a zone change from R3 with conditions of record to R3 with a modified conditions of record. Those conditions being there below and on the staff report. Here is some of the options that you have before you, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
All right, very good. Questions for staff?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
In regards to the site plan that's included, does that reflect the changes or as far as the record changes that you're proposing?
Yes, that site plan does meet all of the proposed amendments and changes to the conditions of record.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Sam, you removed the block wall requirement on the western boundary. I guess, what was the reason for that? Because I thought maybe the parcel went all the way to, is that Walmart, right? The Walmart property, the old Walmart?
I think so. So the western 350, I'm sorry. The wall, the removal of the requirement for the wall.
Yes, the 8-foot wall.
So when that wall was required, the development, I believe, that was proposed at that time was going to be much closer to that northern property boundary.
To clarify, the wall isn't on the western property line, it's the western 350 feet of the north property line.
Okay, so
Thank
you
you,
have
Dan.
the street in between those?
Thank you, Dan.
Okay, I was
Yeah.
getting confused because I saw the western, okay.
So that wall would go here. So this would be north, and then the 350 feet is this shared border with the funeral home
Right.
here.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you, thank you.
That's what I thought in my head, but when you started asking the question, thank you, Dan, help me understand it better. Any other questions for staff? Okay, would the applicant or their representative please come forward and address the commission?
My name is Omer Sarig. Address is 500 South Front Street, Columbus, Ohio, 43215. Wait for the presentation to come up. So, good evening, Honorable Planning and Zoning Commission members, and thank you all for your time and consideration. I am here on behalf of Woda Cooper Development, Inc., presenting the proposed development of Marigold Crossing, an 81-unit senior independent living community at 465 to 475 North Pert Road. Is it the up arrow?
It's the two buttons in the middle.
Yep. To give you a little bit of background on Woda Cooper, we are a vertically integrated developer, general contractor, and property manager that has been in operation for over 35 years. We currently manage and own over 365 properties across 18 states. Many of our communities have received accolades for energy efficiency and green certifications, which we intend to continue in Casa Grande. What really sets Woda Cooper apart from other developers in our industry is our commitment to long-term ownership and management. It is for that reason that we take pride in the work that we do and strive to develop high-quality, safe, and sustainable communities. Next slide, please. We wanted to highlight a few of our past award-winning developments, most notably the Doris in Wheeling, West Virginia, which was awarded Multifamily Project of the Year by the Home Builders Association of West Virginia in 2024. Next slide, please. In researching the current attainable senior housing stock in Casa Grande, the newest construction occurred over 25 years ago, and the most recent renovation of Kachina Apartments occurred in 2012. I do want to emphasize that this is for rent products. Next slide, please. This is the solution that Marigold Crossing will provide. A brand new community in Casa Grande that will allow near elderly and senior residents an opportunity for sustainable and attainable housing. Marigold Crossing will include various amenities such as energy efficient appliances, LVT flooring, a fitness center, elevator, community garden, shared gathering area, and outdoor covered seating with grills. You can stay on this slide for now. I have one more thing. So we want to emphasize that we are not requesting a rezone that would not conform to surrounding uses, but rather a removal of conditions originally put in place by the funeral home to the north. We have communicated at length with the neighboring funeral home, and they have expressed their support of our concept plan. We have amended it after their feedback to include a greater buffer space between our property and the funeral home, and have also included perimeter fencing at their request. A representative of the funeral home was looking forward to attending this meeting to express their support of Marigold Crossing, but unfortunately was unable to attend due to unforeseen circumstances. We have also spoken with the Pinal Alliance for Economic Growth, who has provided a letter of support and expressed the need for additional attainable senior housing units in Casa Grande. As Sam had mentioned, we have had a public notice sign posted for more than a month and sent notices to nearby property owners and only received inquiries of new construction opportunities. Next slide, please. The Affordable Housing Plan prepared in September 2025 in Casa Grande further displays the need for this housing. over half of the senior renters over the age of 65 in Casa Grande are currently cost burdened and pay more than 30% of their income on housing. The plan calls for 500 additional attainable units specifically set aside for seniors by the year 2030. The 81 units of Marigold Crossing would contribute approximately 16% towards that goal. We look forward to working with the City of Casa Grande and contributing to their overall housing goals. Thank you all for your time, and we are happy to take any questions. We have representatives from development and management in attendance. Thank you.
Yeah, stay here, just in case we got questions. Don't leave yet. Any questions for him?
Yeah.
Yes, Andrew.
Yeah, do you have any idea of what the cost for the housing is going to be?
The total development cost?
No, for the potential tenants.
Sure. Yeah, we have it broken down so we have units that are serving individuals at 30%, 50%, and 60% area median income. So currently for one bedrooms at 30%, our net rents are $455 a month. For one bedrooms at 50%, $875, and one bedrooms at 60%, $1,025. Two bedrooms, 30%, $540. For two bedrooms at 50%, $1,045, and two bedrooms at 60%, $1,175 per month.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay, great. I'm hearing you say these conditions are, their replacement conditions are fit your plans.
Correct.
You're good with that? Okay.
Correct.
Great. Thank you. We're good? Thank you. Appreciate it. Now I need to open the public portion of the meeting. Anybody from the public like to address this issue, please come forward. Give us your name and address for the record.
Everybody. My name is Jerry Warren. My address is 525 North Pier Road, Casa Grande, Arizona. Like I said, we are the representatives of J. Warren Funeral Services. Like the gentleman said, we don't have a real problem. We want to get along. Just a couple things, comments I want to make. I'm assuming, is there a fence going to be on the north between our property and there from Pier all the way back to where we have the wall?
So from what I understand, and I think the developer can answer it better, is I'd initially thought that they were not going to build a fence, but it sounds like he said that they are going to supply a fence.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause my concern was basically, I think at one time this was probably in our PAD, like the property is in front of us, basically when we had different requirements and things that we had with that. And at the time that we built the property and did the situation is, we wanted to make sure that there was some type of divider that divides our property from, where our line's in the back of, where we have the one wall. So that was one of our, our concerns as far as that part of it from there. Like I said, we just want to be a good neighbor. We basically want you to understand what the significance of our business is, basically, and give us, the respect of the people that we serve in that area. As far as, the noise factors and things like this, when you build it, we understand that you're building a situation, but yet we still will have funerals and we will go out on the south side of our building. So basically, we would just want to take, at least, make the comment to at least take that into consideration. So if there's something really going on and you guys got the big trucks going through there or whatever, doing what you're doing,
Mr. Warren, Mr. Warren, can you speak into the microphone?
That we could basically
Thank you.
talk a little bit too with you guys and say, hey, we've got a real big funeral coming up, and basically we would like to, if they could move the construction to another part of the situation to be able to not disrespect our families that we're serving. So we just want to make sure that you guys, understand that, and we'll, my staff and things will communicate with you, and then hopefully we can, get a common ground as far as who do we go to, who's running the construction situation from there that we can do this. Just a comment to you as well, that there was a dwelling on that house and on that property. And basically, I don't know if they, I think probably there was a septic tank, and I don't know what, the possibility, some other tanks and things underneath that property. I don't know if you guys did an environmental study, or not, but I know at one time there was a mobile home on there, and was there for quite some time. So basically, I would think that possible that there was, a septic tank there at one time. So just take that in consideration. So, on behalf of myself, my staff, and that situation, we want to work and be a good neighbor and do the best we can.
Right.
I just like you guys, to take into consideration, we got a lot of apartments in town, and everybody in the community that we deal with in situation does have a concern about the amount of apartments that are coming to the community.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else like to address this issue? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion of the meeting, bring it back to the staff. Not staff, commission. Is it late? It's not quite that late.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
You go, buddy. You're a motion maker today.
He does it well. Chair, I'd like to make a motion the Planning Commission forward to City Council recommendation to approve DSA 2500188, a request by Wodo Cooper Development Incorporated for a zone change of approximately 4.6 acres of property on the west side of North Pert Road, approximately 700 feet south of East Lawrence Boulevard, from R3 with conditions of record to R3 with modified conditions of record with the following conditions.
Okay.
Second.
All right, good enough. I have a motion second. Any discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Member Ibrahim? Aye. Member Clegg?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Aldrete?
Aye.
Member Hubbard?
Yes.
Vice Chair Garza?
Just a quick statement that this is not just apartments, this is age-restricted, income-based apartments. So that is, the fact that they're an owner, developer, and property manager is the other plus in this situation. So I think this is a win-win for the city.
Absolutely.
So I'm a yes.
And Chairman Benedict?
Yes. Thank you. Good luck in your project. We look forward to it looking as beautiful as you're showing us.
Thank you very much.
All right, next we have, we did that one, so G5. We'll have a public hearing, consider forwarding recommendation to City Council for a request from Ryan Goodlife, Goodlife Investments LLC for a zone change from B1 to, and Urban Ranch to B4, DSA 2500127. James, you're on again, buddy. You're all by yourself. They got up and ran.
All right, so as you introduced, this item is for a zone change request, and just so you know, the applicant will be participating virtually. He's waiting probably pretty patiently, I hope, via our Zoom. But this is a zone change request for approximately a little over 8 acres of land located near the southeast corner of Bisnaga and Pinal, 8.7 acres. Of this 8.77 acres, 2.47 acres are zoned, there we go. 2.47 acres are zoned B1, as you see in the light pink there. And the remainder, 6.3 acres, are zoned Urban Ranch. The request is to revise all of the B1 and Urban Ranch property within these 8.77 acres to B4, which is known as community services. Here's an aerial view of the property in question, with Pinal there towards the bottom and Bisnaga towards the left side. The B4 zoning supports a variety of commercial uses, as well as some other uses not supported in other commercial zones. It's colloquially known as a heavy commercial zone district, in that it does support some very light type industrial uses, such as a contractor or equipment storage yard. It also supports self-storage as a permitted use, feed stores, building material sales yards, but it also allows uses that are otherwise allowed in other commercial zones, such as restaurants, retail, religious institutions, animal hospitals, and indoor kennels. And then there are certain uses within the B4 that would be allowed per the approval of a conditional use permit, which would be a separate process at a later time, such as automotive repair, drive-through restaurants, car washes, or fuel stations with more than 4 pumps. The development standards that would be in place for a B4 zone are as follows. They're similar to other commercial zone districts, where there would be a front setback of 35 feet, a corner side setback of 25 feet. The most important setback to note is there's a 45-foot residential setback. So from any residential zone boundary, there would be a building setback of 45 feet, and then there's a maximum height of 35. This map shows you the surrounding zone districts. When reviewing this zone change request, the area that I think is the most sensitive is the property directly to the east, because it does share a property line and it's not divided by a wash or another roadway. But as I go through this presentation, I'll talk about some recommended conditions that help ensure compatibility not only with that property to the east, but the other surrounding properties. When looking at the review criteria for zone changes, it does have to meet zone change criteria that are discussed more thoroughly within your staff report. But primarily it is about compliance with the general plan. As you see on the map to the right, our general plan 2030 designates this area within the commerce and business land use category. And among that commerce and business general plan category, it suggests a number of appropriate zone districts, including B4, which is being requested. I do want to point out that neither the site's current B1 nor urban ranch zoning is listed among appropriate commerce and business zone districts. So to frame it another way, if the property currently was not B1 in urban ranch like it is today, and that was the requested zone district, it would not be supportable based on the current general plan designation. Another criteria that we look at is that the action is consistent with the city's general plan, including the following goals, policies, and applicable elements. So there is a specific goal within the commerce and business category that talks about improving site design in commercial and industrial locations, particularly those along high-value corridors. And an action step is to promote architectural details and site elevations that contribute to a unique sense of place and tie into a desert community. So as a way to implement that action step of the general plan, with respect to this zone change request, staff is looking at a recommended condition to this zoning that would entail screening measures for the site. And when a site plan happens to come in, we can look for those screening measures, such as block walls with decorative pillars versus a lesser substantial and less attractive fencing. As part of one of those recommended conditions, any new buildings proposed for the site can be required to maintain four-sided architecture with a variety of building materials, including brick, stucco, concrete panel system, And I'll dive into this specific condition on a later slide. But essentially, it would help achieve the design intent of the general plan to achieve an attractive design and intent to buffer from arterial roadways. And then there's another goal which talks about promote more sustainable development to respond to environmental pressures in Casa Grande. And the action step associated with that is to promote policies to minimize development impacts on surrounding properties and land uses, including buffering between incompatible uses and design features to mitigate congestion, noise, and negative environmental impacts. So aspects related to this specific action step are the following: development impact concerns on the surrounding residential property and the environmental impact with respect to the Santa Cruz River, which is made up of the southern portion of this parcel. And so there are two recommended conditions that would help implement this action step that I want to discuss with you. The first one is about the adjacency of this property to the other residential uses. So as I mentioned on the earlier slide, we're most concerned about the property to the east. I know I keep changing the orientation of the map, but just to keep you on your toes. So on this map, you're basically looking southwest is towards the top of the map. Bisnaga is on the south, going from the right is to the west, to the left is to the east. So, of course, we have the most concern about the property on this screen to the left. But I do want to remind you that there is a 45-foot building setback from residential zones. However, just because that means buildings can't be placed within that 45 feet, there is concern about, well, what else could maybe potentially occur within that first 45 feet of the property? So as a result, staff is recommending a condition that a minimum 15-foot landscape buffer along the eastern boundary of the proposed B4 zone shall be provided, with trees planted no further than every 30 feet. And I am specifying within the northernmost 500 feet of the site. The reason why I'm saying within the northernmost is the southern remainder is part of the Santa Cruz Wash, so it doesn't have any benefit to require a landscape buffer there because the property becomes relatively unusable. And so what that 15-foot landscape buffer would look like kind of conceptually is what's popped up there in green. And then the other aspect to this particular general plan action step is to mitigate negative environmental impacts. And with respect to that, the southern portion of this area is impacted by a floodplain. To use this area to any significant degree, engineering of the site would likely have to occur through working with FEMA to modify the floodplain map. And this could be done through a map revision, but that would likely, a FEMA map revision, but that would likely be achieved through engineering work, such as channeling historic flow areas and elevating portions of the site. This is an example of the floodplain map. So if you could see the entire property that is being considered for a zone change is impacted by flood designations, but it's the area closer to the Santa Cruz Wash that's in that lighter blue color that is an actual floodway that would require mitigation to do much with. So it essentially affects probably about a good 4 acres of the site. And then this is another perspective. You could actually see running water there in the Santa Cruz Wash. And then this is another perspective that shows you where exactly the southern property boundary of this site is. Basically, all of the Santa Cruz Wash is within this property. And there's yet another perspective. So a condition to address that is that no development or disturbance shall occur within the 75 feet from the southern parcel boundary other than habitat restoration, invasive species removal, or flood control measures approved by the city of Casa Grande that maintain as much riparian habitat as feasibly possible. So by applying a distance of 75 feet, it takes you basically to the top of the north bank of the wash. So that helps ensure that the primary portion of the river will be preserved. And I do want to point out that to the south of the site, as you see there on the screen, is identified to be a future regional trail. The city does have plans to develop a trail in that area. However, it's somewhat dependent upon the development plans south of the wash, because they too will be doing some engineering work to make their property developable. And so any sort of trail is on hold until that earthwork has occurred, so that improvements aren't ripped out and put back in again. And then lastly, with regard to zone change review criteria, the proposed zone change is considered necessary and proper at this time to meet the land use needs of the residents of the city. B4 is considered appropriate here based on the fact that its location is along a well-traveled corridor and yet not located at a prominent corner where there would probably be more of an expectation to see B2 type zone districts and where you often find B2 zoning. But secondly, it allows the site to continue to develop types of uses that have historically occurred here. If you look at this site, keep in mind a portion of the site is not B1, it's Urban Ranch, and yet a lot of it has historically been used for B4 purposes. The most recent use was Rockworks Landscape Supply, and prior to that it was, I believe, Greens and Things. And I'm not entirely certain of the history of the allowances for those uses, but it's essentially been a continuation of non-conforming uses on this property. The applicant who will be participating virtually will explain that his intent for this property, although not completely known, he doesn't have a conceptual plan as of yet, he ideally is seeking to develop this property with uses that have historically similarly been here, such as a contractor storage yard. And it would be through the site plan process, which would be the next step should this zoning be approved, that the city would ensure that items such as drainage, traffic mitigation, utility infrastructure are all adequate as part of that review. Regarding the public notification efforts, there were 2 signs posted on this property, and which is above what is the minimum required. And otherwise, we met that which was required by code. And then, of course, this was all re-noticed due to the notification error in December, and that occurred during the week of December 23rd. As a result of the notification, there were a couple of emails as well as a phone call. I believe one of the adjacent property owners is here this evening with regard to this request, with concerns about the development of this property and the sensitive nature of the fact that as you go east off of Pinnell, you go into a rural residential area, and so there is sensitivity with regard to what develops along the Pinnell corridor. And some of those concerns that were cited were increased traffic, noise pollution, and potential rise in crime. Another perspective, however, is that having the larger urban ranch zoned lots to the east are a little bit more compatible to adjacent land uses as opposed to a traditional 6,000 square foot neighborhood where homes are much closer to one another. As it is, urban ranch zone properties allow agricultural uses, more outbuildings, and so there are some protections in there as part of the urban ranch zoning that does help with buffering between it and adjacent land uses. And of course, there is that 45-foot building setback and our recommended 15-foot landscape buffer. With that, staff does recommend that Planning Commission forward to Council a recommendation to approve this zone change request from B1 and UR to B4 with the following conditions of record. The first one is a standard condition regarding dedication of right-of-way. If necessary, prior to development, the applicant would agree to dedicate a portion of property for public right-of-way, but that would predominantly just apply to Pinal Avenue because that's an arterial road. And then the second condition is regarding the landscape buffer I discussed. It would be the northernmost 500 feet of the easternmost 200 feet of this zone district. And that would ensure that the landscape buffer be at least 15 feet wide and include at least one tree for every 30 feet of buffer length. All trees must be non-littering, and the specifics of those trees would be reviewed for appropriate size and species during the landscape plan review that would be associated with the site plan. The third condition is any enclosed buildings over 120 square feet shall be constructed with specific architectural standards that address massing and scaling and wall articulation. The fourth condition deals with outdoor storage areas, that they shall be screened from view of adjacent properties to the north, east, and west and right-of-way by a 6-foot tall concrete block wall. And then the fifth condition is that no development or disturbance shall occur within the southernmost 75 feet of the parcel as discussed. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners?
I have a question.
Yep.
Jim, the 75-foot buffer for the wash, why wouldn't that read something about what the Clomar allows and what FEMA allows in the floodway, rather than 75 feet?
I suppose there is an opportunity to revise the wording to specify that. I think we arrived at 75 because we weren't thinking of something fluid like you're suggesting. We had a set number in mind, but it seemed too restrictive. And then when we looked at measuring from the south boundary to the top of the north bank, it was about 75 feet. But I understand your point.
Well, I think the building, they wouldn't be able to build legally, given federal requirements. But, it's up to you. This is the first time I've seen it, so it's good that we're moving towards requiring it. But I feel like I'm hearing Commissioner Dugan's, he used to always bring up the Santa Cruz wash, right, and the flooding, and but you have some requirement now. I'm just wondering if we should just finesse it a little bit to meet the Clomar that they're going to be required to do.
Well, so, they're going to be required to do that regardless of what we say. I guess what crossed my mind is the 75 foot is not going to be his problem.
Oh, no. It's going to be way larger than that.
A lot bigger than that, regardless of what we say.
So
is what my assumption was.
Since I was the one that recommended that, I'll speak why.
Oh, well.
I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, thank you. But my purpose for that was more so to prevent the ability for the property owner to channelize the wash. I do not want to see the wash channelized. And so they could channelize it and they could fill the property, do the loamer and all of that, and then build on a portion of the wash because they've channelized it and narrowed it. And I do not want to see that happen. I want to see it natural. And so that's what the point of that is for.
I see. That makes sense. Thank you, Garrett. Okay, well, now I understand the perspective. I can appreciate that. Not that it's 100% beautiful right now, but it is very natural.
Right, it's very natural. Yeah.
So with that point, Garrett, are you looking for the water to drain into the Santa Cruz?
I'm not a hydrologist. That's not for me to decide. I just want it to stay natural.
Because I'm just thinking if they build on that, if there is some unplanned rain, amount of rain, what happens to the water? Where does it drain? Does it drain into the street, into the residential area? Does it go into the
It goes
Santa
right
Cruz?
into here. Goes out.
Just pool and create a bigger mess, huh?
And the hydrologist, when they go to develop, will figure all of that out. And so I just wanted it to remain as natural as possible. So, if they end up increasing the flow on that, that's something that, one, they also probably can't do, I believe, as far as what flows come onto your property and come off. You have to be within like 0.1%, I believe. So they will have to work through all of that. Whatever solutions they come up with to work through that, I just want to make sure that it doesn't involve blowing out the Santa Cruz and channelizing it.
Now that you've done all that moving, can you move back? Sorry. Move back to the pretty pictures, yeah.
Do you want to see the photo?
That one's fine. Any of them are okay. So, so in your conditions, your conditions do not limit them accessing, what is it? Bisnaga. Is that correct? Your conditions do not limit them in accessing to making access points onto Bisnaga Road.
There's no restriction
Right.
regarding Bisnaga.
Okay.
Likely when they go to propose development, so the next step would be a site plan, which would include some type of traffic statement. And it would evaluate what type of traffic is proposed for that particular use.
Right.
And any mitigation to ensure that the level of service is not brought to an unacceptable category would have to occur in order for that site plan to be approved. Right. So if they are proposing outlets onto Bisnaga, which is likely because Pinal is a state highway, which is also heavily controlled with regard to types of driveways, there'd have to be modifications potentially to Bisnaga to it, if necessary, to adequately mitigate the traffic impact.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? No? Okay. All right. The applicant or his representative.
All right, let me unmute him.
Poor guy's probably talking away.
Okay, hi Ryan, I think you're unmuted.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Apologize for not being able to attend in person with some family commitments that restrained me on that, but I appreciate and thank you for providing the Zoom link to participate. As was mentioned, the action for this zone change is consistent with the city's general plan and with the staff's recommendation or recommended conditions. It seems reasonable for with these conditions for all parties to this stage in the process. Obviously, there's some further concerns that would come up and be addressed in the site planning, as has been discussed, but as well as any other concerns that have been raised. With this request, it will allow for use consistent with the historical and past use, whether that was consistent with zoning or not. And with the conditions, I believe it provides the city and public a desire for, the aesthetic and pleasing beneficial use of the public and those requests. So, anyway, I thank you for the opportunity and happy to answer any other questions you have for me.
All right, very good. Commissioners, questions for the applicant? Nothing?
No.
Nope. All right, very good. Thank you. Thanks. Now I'll open the public portion of the meeting. Anybody from the public that would like to address this issue, please come forward, give us your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Mike Ritter. I live at 201 West Bisnaga Street. I am that guy to the east. Met Ryan at our last meeting here. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to discuss in detail with him. I was hoping to see him here tonight. Nice guy, heck of a guy. Whenever first came in, had a disagreement, or at least my opinion about what he wanted to do was different. But like any two civilized human beings, we came together and talked. Brought up some things that he obviously was not aware of with this particular property. The biggest one you guys pretty much touched on is the water issue. However, whenever we get any decent sized storm, and I'm not talking major rain event, but a decent storm, say we get a good ½ inch of rain in the area, that wash fills up very quickly. If you go back to where you see the floodplain area, if you look on Pinal, right there, the bridge is the major choke point for that property, and everything does back up. Now, back in 2017, we had a bigger rain event, not necessarily so much here, but more north and east of us, and all that water came down. And actually, we lost a few homes on that street because of the water. Now the homes have been rebuilt, but if you go by or up and down Bisnaga, any of the newer homes, you're going to see a pretty significant pad, somewhere in 3 to 4 feet tall. They're pretty big. I brought that concern to Mr. Goodliff's attention, just wanting him to be aware of what the potential impact to his neighbors would be. Say, for example, if he did want to build something, some sort of building on that property, there's going to be a significant amount of fill have to be brought in. But by doing that, you reduce that, again, that area for that flood to spread out, and it will get only deeper and affect the people primarily to the east and south. So I know there's a potential for property development to the south of us. With the increased watershed, with all the building and stuff like that here, that is my main concern, is what's going to happen in the future. And I'm not talking, just right down here in the next few months, but when we start developing more properties in the area and everything else, what that's going to do for that watershed and what potentially would mean for my family and my neighbors on that street. What's going to happen with our properties and homes, because other than on the very end, probably I think it's Casa Grande Boulevard and but Bisnaga, that right there, other than that, those two homes that were been recently built there, pretty much going to wipe everybody out, and that's basically what's going to happen. So at least take some consideration when it comes to that, and I don't want any ill will toward Mr. Goodliff. He's a good guy. I hope he does something with it, but I hope he takes that in consideration as well. So I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else like to address this issue? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public portion of the meeting, bring it back to the commission.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
You go, buddy. You're the man tonight.
Chair, I'd like.
Can we have some discussion real
Oh,
quick
yeah.
before you motion away?
Either way.
Well, I'd like to just kind of talk about this 6 foot high, tall block wall, maybe something more substantial in case he does have large earthwork requirements because of the wash. Is there a potential there?
Oh, you'd raise the,
Raise the wall
Above-
because the footer of this building that could be built will be real high.
okay. Yeah, because the wall will be down on current level.
Yes.
Building will start, what'd you say, 3 feet?
About there, you would probably,
Yeah.
if I remember, right, you'd have to raise at least 3.5, 4 feet. Just to bring it up to the level where canal is roughly. That's with the roadway. It's significant.
Excuse me, just to point out, our code prohibits walls at residential zone boundaries to be taller than 6 feet, except by if it's considered a special purpose fence, which would have to come in under a conditional use permit process. But greater than 6 feet would probably be okay on any other location other than on a zone boundary.
Well, that's the, we
Which
don't
is a
want-
little interesting,
We need
but-
to change our code. Oh, my God.
So, is it easy to describe the logic for that? If it's not, don't.
Because normally.
'Cause it's
I
like-
think it's probably because even though good fences make good neighbors, if someone, because it was a zone boundary built, say, a 15-foot tall fence, it would be just as a compatibility issue with a massive structure on the property line than a 6-foot wall. I think that's the
That makes sense.
rationale.
Yeah, I get that.
That and
Can I
just-
speak?
Go ahead.
Yep.
Sorry. I do know, I don't have a lot of history there, but I do know the seller, that he reconstructed the current office and building that's there. And I do know that he was required to have the base floor of that a minimum of 1 inch higher than the bridge on Pinal Avenue. That was, I believe, maybe some of you guys remember that or were part of that approval process. I don't know for sure, but I do know the seller did tell me that was a requirement. So essentially, obviously keeping the building, the base floor of the building out of the, above the floodplain of the bridge on Pinal Avenue. And anyway, I just wanted to share that because I'd been told that by the seller.
I think it's 1 foot higher than Pinal, not 1 inch, but yes. So it's going to tower. That's community services. Jim, tell me again what can be built in community services.
So it's a lot of the same uses that are allowed in the B2, but in addition, permitted by right is equipment storage yard, contractor storage yards, which would otherwise be subject, in some cases, to a CUP in the B2.
Okay.
It also allows animal clinics with indoor kennels. So what's on the screen here isn't the exhaustive list, but these are the primary things.
Okay. And I just want to preserve the urban ranch a little bit.
Do, okay. Okay, any others?
No, I'll vote. No, I just wanted to have that discussion. But if everybody's good, we're good. Let's move it.
Okay.
No, I don't think we can amend the wall requirement.
Okay. I would like to make a motion that the Planning Commission forward to City Council a recommendation to approve the zone change request DSA 2500127 from B1 and UR to B4 with following conditions of record.
Second.
Okay. Per the staff report. All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion further? Nope. Okay, please call the roll.
Member Ibrahim?
Aye.
Member Clegg?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Aldrete?
Aye.
Member Hubbard?
Yes.
Vice Chair Garza?
No.
And Chairman Benedict?
What else are you gonna do? Yes. Okay, that one's passed. Ready to carry on, or we want to break a minute? This can be really quick, huh?
But you guys carry on.
What's that?
I gotta go to that. We don't need to take a break. Just keep going.
I think we need to take a break. 5 minutes, we'll be fast. Sorry, guys. Better to take a break. I'm back. All right, we're back. Thank you for the break. Appreciate it. We're at G6. Hold a public hearing, consider forwarding recommendation to the city council for a request from CG Hospitality LLC to amend 2.2 acres, Casa Grande Mercado PAD. I'm gonna skip to DSA 2500156. Jim, talk to us.
So this request may look familiar to the Planning Commission. It is a request to amend a portion of the Casa Grande Mercado Planned Area Development Zone. It would be to accommodate an extended stay hotel. And of course, this is a site that's located to the southeast of Florence Boulevard and Camino Mercado. The PAD amendment would affect 2.2 acres. And ultimately, like I mentioned, the intent is to, with the PAD amendment, to add a hotel use to ultimately come forward to develop a 4-story, 50-foot tall hotel. The original Casa Grande Mercado Planned Area Development Zone had identified this area to allow retail and commercial uses at a maximum height of 24 feet. The only exception within that PAD was for a hotel use to be 60 feet tall, but located upon Lot 9, where Cracker Barrel sits. The requested amendment would be for that area outlined in purple there to allow a hotel use at a height of 50 feet with a floor area ratio of 0.59. The other aspects of the amendment would be to specify specific development standards such as minimum setbacks, because those weren't included within the original PAD, so it will add some clarity and guidelines regarding setbacks. And it would reflect lots 4 and 5 and the adjacent access tract as one parcel. A replat is also currently under review to accomplish this, the combination of 4 and 5 in the access parcel, pending the outcome of this PAD amendment. This gives you kind of a larger view of what the current plat shows on file, lots 4, 5, and then there's an area also under the same ownership known as Common Area B1, which was designed as an access drive. And the replat proposes to retain it as an access easement, not only for vehicles and pedestrians, but also for utilities. The reason why I said this might seem familiar to you because it was back in June of 25 where the same applicant was in front of Planning Commission for not only a similar PAD amendment, but also the major site plan at that time. The PAD amendment requested back in June was similar, but not the same. It was, at the time, it was requesting to amend the requirement for southwest design elements and to remove the PAD restriction on composite style fencing. Planning Commission denied both requests due to a number of concerns, but specifically traffic, and not satisfied with the proposal for composite fencing. There was a preference to see block wall fencing. And then there was also some concern about the proposal to stray from the southwest design elements. And there was a preference to see any development within the PAD go forward with the intention of the PAD's design requirements. So now the applicant is not requesting to amend the southwest design elements, nor are they proposing to amend anything with regard to fencing requirements. The new request would simply be to add a hotel use at a height of 50 feet among the other retail and services uses already allowed in that area. They would reflect the subject PAD as one development site, and then also, as I mentioned, specify setbacks as the PAD is silent. No request to deviate from the southwest design elements required of this PAD, nor any request to change fencing requirements are being considered. A new site plan, once submitted, will be required to meet the PAD requirements as amended, should this request to amend the PAD to allow a hotel be approved. When reviewing PAD amendments, we must address, or the request must address certain code criteria, and these are listed here on your screen. And of course, the staff report goes into each of these in greater scope, but I want to talk about the highlighted items as they're the most important. The first is the relationship of the plan to surrounding land uses. So this amendment would allow for a 50-foot tall 4-story hotel, which would be one of the taller buildings in the immediate area. However, the city is seeing the emergence of other 4-story buildings such as Sun Life, which is just a little bit to the west, and the Town Place Suites by Marriott, which you can actually see in the left picture if you look hard enough. It's on the other side of I-10. The placement of a proposed hotel at 50 feet height is well suited, as there are lower profile buildings between this site and Florence, creating what's known as a stair-step effect, which is a design element often used to soften areas with buildings of mixed heights. And of course, you also have in the right picture the recent completion of the 3-story multifamily development on the west side of Camino Mercado, south of this area. The other criteria we look at is conformance to the city's general plan. This area is within the city's community corridor general plan category, which supports development of diverse activities centers that incorporate various building sizes and land uses. So in the community corridor category, taller buildings are supportable, but also more importantly, a mixture of different building heights. The key objective also is for infill development. This would help be an appropriate use in somewhat of a hard to develop area, because it's hard to attract retail since it doesn't have immediate visibility off of Florence Boulevard. But a taller building would be seen by passersby, and development as a hotel would also help fuel the surrounding businesses. The maximum floor area ratio for the community corridor category is 0.5, and of course this PAD amendment is requesting a site-specific floor area ratio of 0.59, and the reason why this is okay with respect to the general plan is explained on an upcoming slide. But before I get too deep into FAR, or floor area ratio, I just want to give a quick explanation of what is that, because it can get kind of confusing. It's similar to lot coverage, but it's not looking at one big building or regardless of how many stories it has in terms of lot coverage percentage on a lot. It's taking each floor area and its contribution to lot coverage. So when you talk about a 0.5 floor area ratio, if you have a 1-story building, there can be 50% lot coverage because it's 1 story. But if it's 2 stories, there can only be 25% lot coverage, and so forth. So when you end up with a 4-story building, in order to maintain a maximum, or to not exceed a 0.5 floor area ratio, your maximum lot coverage is just 12.5%, and this site will be at 14.4%. The reason why this still complies with the general plan is because the existing PAD assigns an estimated floor area ratio for each lot within this Phase 1 area of the Casa Grande Mercado PAD. The proposed amended PAD changes the developing area, the area in purple, from 0.23 to 0.59. But when calculating the combined floor area ratio of each site within the PAD as a whole, including this proposed site at 0.59, it makes the overall floor area ratio of the PAD 0.192, well below the general plan maximum floor area ratio of 0.5. When looking at all the undeveloped areas within this PAD and giving them each a maximum 0.5 floor area ratio, including this site at 0.59, it changes the overall PAD's floor area ratio to 0.24, still well below the 0.5 maximum. I feel like maybe I've lulled people to sleep, so I'll be moving on here. The next criteria is the impact of the plan on the existing and anticipated traffic, as well as pedestrian access and concerns. So a traffic statement was prepared with this PAD amendment and with the previous submittal of the site plan that had been denied. And it does show that there would be an estimation of 546 daily trips as a result of this hotel, 42 AM peak hour trips, and 45 PM peak hour trips. I do want to point out that the PAD, as well as the subdivision plat that is under review, does show and propose and call for an access drive connecting Camino del Norte, which is on the east side of this site, to Camino Mercado on the west side of the site. That access drive currently is not there. It would be constructed, and so it would not only be a benefit to this development that's proposed to channel traffic out to Camino Mercado, but it would be a benefit to all of the existing development within the area because it does provide another means of access to get out to Camino Mercado. There's also a proposed pedestrian walkway, at least on their previously submitted site plan, that would link the sidewalk on Camino Mercado on the west to a newly constructed sidewalk along Camino del Norte east of the site. There is a future Florence Boulevard project planned, which would modify Florence so that there would be no left turns at onto Camino del Norte, or excuse me, no left turns at Camino del Norte onto Florence. Circulation is being provided between Camino del Norte and Camino Mercado through this development site and also through the existing outlet at Palm Center Plaza, as you see with the yellow arrow. The traffic forecast follows ITE criteria. Even with the increase of between 25% and 50% more trips, it's been determined through the review that the additional traffic is not significant when evaluating the area of impact. This is an additional graphic that we can discuss later during the discussion period, but I just wanted to show this, that it does identify the outlet proposed to Camino Mercado, as well not only through this proposed site, but also the existing one at Palm Center Plaza. We are suggesting to the applicant that during the site plan review, we're going to encourage some speed cushions on the newly constructed access drive so that it will slow down traffic with respect to the business operations of the hotel site. This is an example of what a speed cushion looks like. I did mention earlier that architectural design is not being proposed to be amended. It was a little bit ambiguous when you talk about Southwest style architecture. And so what I did provide for you in this presentation, which I didn't provide back in June, is the actual excerpt of the PAD that specifically talks about what it's meant by Southwest. So the highlighted section explains it. It says the Southwestern style is proposed because of its adaptability to large as well as small buildings. Through the use of complementary neutral colors, a pronounced first floor and overscale detailing, or a traditional or contemporary interpretation can be achieved and still be compatible. Incorporating a flattened arch motif, as in the entry walls and first floor loggias, will further tie together the various buildings. So it's questionable if that's been fully achieved. It likely was achieved somewhat with the red tile roof of the existing shopping center that's on Lot 10, which is known as Palm Center Plaza. The proposed hotel for where Cracker Barrel now sits also incorporated similar elements where you could tell there was a tile roof and some archways over the patios. But when you look at the other development that's built in there, I would say clearly Dutch Brothers doesn't check that box, nor Popeyes, nor Cracker Barrel. Probably the closest is the oldest building outside of that Palm Center Plaza, which is the Arco. However, it probably is a dated type of appearance. And so this is all to say that the elevations that were provided the first time were not Southwestern in style. It probably didn't meet that criteria. And so I will tell you that there is not a new site plan under consideration, but the elevations that are provided with that site plan would have to meet the tenets of the PAD and would have to provide some elements that are either contemporary in nature or otherwise that are Southwest in design. Another thing that changed between June and now is the code did change to where any request to increase allowable building height is now a city council level amendment. Prior it was not. Back in June, this was going to be a planning commission only type PAD amendment, but now it is considered a city council level type amendment because of the increase in allowable height from 24 to 50. Regarding the notification process, we followed all that which is required by code, and again, we had to renotice over the week of Christmas due to the noticing error that caused this meeting to be rescheduled from the December Planning Commission meeting till now. There has been no correspondence received as a result of the multiple public notification efforts. Staff does recommend that Planning Commission move to forward a recommendation to approve this PAD amendment of the Casa Grande Mercado PAD, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, commissioners, questions for staff?
I have one for James.
Yes, sir.
In regards to the sidewalk that was going in on a Camino del Norte, are you going to put that just on the west side of the street, or are you going to go both west and east?
So, Commissioner Smith, there would be a sidewalk on the west side of Camino del Norte immediately abutting that development. And then there would be a sidewalk along the north side of their access drive that's going east-west to tie in with an existing sidewalk that's along the east side of Camino Mercado.
Okay. So with the pedestrian traffic leaving the hotel wanting to go to Cracker Barrel, they would still have to walk where? In the desert?
They there are probably limited sections of sidewalk, but our development requirements usually just beholdens developers to develop that infrastructure immediately abutting their property. I agree that it would become more of a challenge in areas off their property where there aren't sidewalks, but fortunately, there is a sidewalk that they can tie into, at least on the west side of Camino del Norte, so it's easier to get to the businesses like Popeyes and Burger King. But you're right, as you go east over to Cracker Barrel, it becomes more of a challenge.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else for staff? Yes.
We can wait for the applicant, and then maybe we have the traffic discussion.
Very good. All right, anything else, Andrew? Okay, so the applicant or their representative, please come up to address the commission.
So I should note that we do have the representative from the Y2K Traffic Engineering, and then I also have the other applicant and owner virtually participating.
Okay.
So I don't know if you would like to
What would you like to
hear
start
from
with?
So, yes, let me start with some background.
Well,
because
so do you want to start with the engineer or the owner, right?
Oh.
That was the question. Who are we going to start with? Who would you like to start with? Celeste?
I don't think the owner's here.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, who's here?
I guess it's just me.
Okay.
I'm Denise Baker.
So be sure we can hear it on the microphone.
Hi,
There you go. Thank you.
I'm Denise Baker. I'm a traffic engineer that I worked with the team developing this traffic impact study. You need an address, right?
Yes, please.
1921 South Alma School, Suite 204 in Mesa, Arizona, zip code 85210.
Thank you.
So I'm here to answer your traffic concerns.
Thank you, Denise. So on the traffic impact study that was done, did you assume any left-hand turn movements coming from Camino del Norte onto Florence Boulevard?
No, the traffic impact statement assumes that there is a restriction.
Okay, so the site itself is meeting standards as long as the raised median is in place?
A raised median?
Or
yes.
some sort of left turn restricting movement?
Yes.
Thank you. That answers all I needed. That's all I needed to ask, because I don't understand why we have a traffic impact statement that says that it needs to be there, but we're not going to abide by it in the interim. So that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for the traffic engineer? Thank you for waiting all night to answer one question.
I'm glad there was at least one question.
Well, yeah, at least you didn't come for nothing. Yeah, appreciate that.
I'll stay to hear the rest. So.
You're welcome to stay as long as we're here. Okay, so owner representative is not here.
There is someone online virtually.
Very good.
Okay, great.
And it looks like they're unmuted. Oh. The applicant is attending virtually. I don't know if you heard me, and he's unmuted, so he can.
All right.
Is that you, Nick?
So please introduce yourself and give us your address for the record.
He's sleeping.
He is sound asleep. Leave it on and go to bed.
Wish we were too.
I guess Nick doesn't care to say anything.
Let's see if I don't think there was any.
I don't know. Can you? How are you to punch?
Is there a
through
chat?
Yeah. Ring, ring, ring. Yeah. Well, how bad is it for me to go out of order and open the public hearing, attorney, and then come back? You didn't care. So nobody there yet? Okay, so in the interest of time, I'm gonna open the public hearing. Anybody from the public who'd like to address this issue, please come forward, give us your name and address for the record. Seeing none, I'm gonna close the public portion of the meeting. And the commission would love to hear from the applicant.
I don't, they're not responding, so,
I get that.
but we do have a representative for the project.
You go, girl.
I have a,
Okay, to that point, do we have any questions for, if the applicant was here, and maybe she can address, maybe not, would we have any questions for the applicant?
well, I have another question for staff, actually.
There you go, go for it.
I guess it's more of a, you probably could just provide the reasoning, but I would guess we're not requiring them to put that mitigation in because we have plans to do the Florence Boulevard project in the near future, correct?
So there's two reasons. One, we feel, and of course Clark can shout over me if I'm misstating anything. There's two reasons though. One is we feel that the traffic concern at Camino del Norte in Florence is mitigated to a great degree by the fact that they are also constructing that connection between Camino del Norte and Camino Mercado. That's going to take a lot of the traffic movements from the Florence Camino del Norte intersection for this hotel and direct it to that other street. And as long as that mitigation is present, which is going in with the development, there is less concern about the mitigation at Camino del Norte and Florence during whatever gap of time between this development and when the Florence Boulevard project occurs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you.
So, and I forgot to mention this, so
Yes, please
we
go
shared,
ahead.
I shared some emails with city staff last week, and there's no time frame for the Florence Boulevard improvement construction. So, that's, I would love to see some sort of mitigation done by the development in the interim until the Florence Boulevard project comes to life.
If I may.
Yeah, please.
Absolutely, Clark.
So we're in the process of putting together our CIP proposals at this time. So I know a CIP request has been made for Florence Boulevard. If we get a portion of what we've asked for, the CIP project, the island, will be in place concurrent to or possibly even before the hotel is actually built out. So it just depends on how council goes ahead and approves of the budgets. So
Can I ask, what was the estimate for Florence Boulevard in this location? What was your request to council for?
well, the request we're making is actually to make improvements to Hennis.
Okay, so it's millions of dollars.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just perspective,
Yeah,
trying to give the public perspective about,
Yeah.
we
Yes.
still haven't seen McCartney built, right? So, I'm trying to give some hope, the big picture. Okay, I was thinking you might do one of your emergency projects and go slap that median in there real quick before this hotel builds.
That is not the case at this point in time.
Okay, thank you.
So am I right that I get the sense that y'all, the engineer people and all the professionals feel that, although, that the road that's being added, it is gonna balance out so that we still have the same level of problem at the intersection of Del Norte and Florence as we do now. That's my feeling. Tell me I'm wrong. Please tell me something.
Yes,
However, just a couple things that I want to point out is that the hotel itself is a very small generator compared to all the other things that are there. And I just want to state this fact. And I also want to highlight that the 40 peak hour trips that are estimated, they will likely interact with the current land uses to the north of the parcel. So some of those trips will be replaced by just walking to Cracker Barrel or just walking to Trader Joe's. So that is an estimate that could be even lower of what is the numbers there. I just want to give this context that connection will help, but there will also be interactions with the parcel, and the other parcels are much heavier traffic.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
I wish we had a Trader Joe's.
I know, it's like, where is it? I'm like, where is it?
So, and I'm my memory and the copy of the minutes that were in there did not express it, but I hope that I expressed it in the last meeting, or that somebody expressed not only my concern with the style being so much different, and as you know, that particular style is not one of my, I don't like it. Garrett, as usual, likes it. But what was not in there was my concern of the size. And we're, it just, and I'm sorry Gloria left, but just to go, the 4 stories, 50 feet it's a lot, and I appreciate very much your explanation of the FAR and that idea, and that gives me a little more perspective. I still can't get myself over that edge.
Well, maybe like.
No, I was just gonna say I drove by the Marriott. I drove through this intersection at 5:30. Yes, I wouldn't make that left-hand turn, but the Marriott looks like huge. It just sticks out like a sore thumb. And this is just gonna do the same. But
well,
I'm not saying it shouldn't be there. I'm just saying.
So I get that about that it is set back. I mean, and I appreciate that. Whereas the hotel on the other side is not. I mean, it's the closest to the highway, but I'm not hip on that one either. But that's.
Well, if I could just give my perspective.
I would appreciate it.
As a young person who's lived here my entire life, I would say when I was younger, seeing what's in Casa Grande, I was often more enamored by what you would see when you go to Chandler and Gilbert and Mesa and Tempe and Phoenix, when I would go to Chase Field and things like that.
Right.
You start seeing that kind of development, and it kind of is, you go, wow, that's really cool. I want to see more of that. And so as a young person here, and I think many other young people, especially the people I know I graduated high school with, they've left Casa Grande. They do not want to be here. And they don't want to be here because we don't often have a lot of the amenities other cities have. And part of having those amenities is also allowing height. And so and I think I said this a few months back when we were going to the rec center, I was in that parking lot, and I was looking at all of the apartments being built around there, and I was very excited about it. It made me feel a lot of pride in our community because I was seeing development happen. I was seeing good development happen. I was seeing attractive development happen. And more as the Sun Life building has come together, I start saying, wow, that looks great. And it's a great building to have on Florence Boulevard. So when people come into the community, this is what they're getting a picture of. This is what Casa Grande can be. And so now that we also see the 4-story hotel on the other side, that's being complete. It looks great as well. And so all of that kind of development, it brings a lot of pride to me, and it makes me feel really good about the direction of the city of Casa Grande, because it seems like it's trying to be what it has been trying to be for the past 30, 40 years probably. Obviously recessions take their toll on us. But it's coming together finally, and part of coming together is allowing for that height because it is necessary in a city, and we are a city. We are a fast-growing city. I know a lot of people want to say we are still rural, and there are rural aspects of our city that we will maintain. They are in the appropriate locations. I know we even denied a 3-story senior apartment because it was Urban Ranch across the street from other Urban Ranch. You know, there's been opportunities where we've taken those, and Urban Ranch has been remained. And so I know there's a lot of love for the rural character. I love it too. I mean, I often spent my time just in the desert because that's all we had around here. But that's kind of what I've been seeing over the past few years, and what's brought me a lot of pride is the fact that we are starting to look more like a city, not just a dispersed neighborhoods with few and far between commercial opportunities that are single-story drive-throughs and things like that. We're finally putting buildings together that are attractive, that can attract more development, that give us something to show to others and say, this is the city of Casa Grande. And so that's where I see a lot of benefit in providing another 4-story building that is going to be an attractive right there at I-10 and Florence Boulevard. That is a welcoming sign to a lot of people, and I think that's a good thing. Even though I know some people may not like the height, I think it is a good thing, and it's a good sign to show to everybody, and it's a good flag to put up. And so that's my opinion on just the way development has been going in the city of Casa Grande, especially as we look at height and things like that.
So as the counter, as you and I are, for the areas, particularly the area you and I were talking about over by the rec center, that makes a lot of sense. That's an area where it matches, it blends. This to me is not. This area is not that style, and I think it's great to have multiple styles in a community and multiple areas that have those. When you think about, so your perspective when you drive in and you see those, it's real exciting. There's a whole set of people that go, oh my God, it's another, monster city, and they don't like it. So there's always different perspectives
Definitely.
to that, and to me it's just the area, and it was set up to be more of a southwestern style, not as tall. That was all. Okay, we've been on that a couple longer than we might need to be. Anything else, commissioners? What's your wish?
Chair, I'd like to make a motion
You go, buddy.
I'd like to make a motion to Planning Commission to forward to City Council a recommendation to approve DSA 2500156, a PAD amendment for 2.18 acres of the Casa Grande Mercado pad.
Very good. I have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion on the motion? We haven't discussed. Very good. Please call the roll.
Member Ibrahim?
Aye.
Member Clegg?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Aldrete?
Aye.
Member Hubbard?
Yes.
Vice Chair Garza?
No.
And Chairman Benedict?
No. Motion passes. Long night. Planning Director, we have reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Happy New Year to you and the commission. Just to clarify earlier, when the public is before you and speaking, my request is that they be directed to address their questions to you, give them their full 3 minutes, and then after their full 3 minutes, you can then get those answers either from staff or get those answers from even the applicant. So the commission meeting doesn't turn into a neighborhood meeting, and we're not denying that applicant their full 3 minutes to ask all the questions they need answered and make the statements they need to make.
Good point. Thank you.
Other than that, our presentations will probably get a little bit more boring come April because of ADA accessibility requirements of the city's webpage and anything that's available to the public. And that's all I have. Thank you. It's been a long night.
All right. Commissioner. Yep. Yes?
Wait, no,
Wait,
what site plan was approved? Planning director? A controversial one?
Help me out, Jim. Site plans.
Casa Grande Commons.
Which one?
Which one? The development north of the promenade.
Correct. So there was a LIHTC housing project north of the promenade that resubmitted their site plan. And administratively, we reviewed that. We took some of the concerns of the commission to the applicant, addressing and the public, addressing the concerns of walkability of that project. So the applicant is going to be installing some more sidewalk in the promenade to make those connections.
Nice.
They may be required to install a crosswalk if it's warranted by engineering.
So that's the piece to the north of Promenade?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we did do a public notification as required by the code, the citizen review process, letting them know, I wrote them a letter letting them know that it was resubmitted, why it was resubmitted, the change in the state law, and we received no comments from any of the surrounding property owners, except for the promenade. I think they had a question, but.
The Promenade Village multifamily had a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the one that we denied, that they had then approved.
Thank you.
This is change guard here.
Right, yeah. Yeah. No, thank you, and thank you guys for bringing it up.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah, no,
Gary.
that's great.
Appreciate you.
Good to hear about it. Anything else for the good of the order? All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you all. Long night, well done.